forgot to hit the go live button. God damn it. Everything's all right. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to hit the go live button. Son of a bitch. That hasn't happened to me in a hot minute, dude. I can't believe I did that. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Damn. All right, let's continue.
Teaches at school wants kindergarten child's parents deported.
You make it sound terrible. You make it sound like it's terrible, but...
Oh, well, I'm just writing down what you're telling.
He's literally writing down what she's telling him. That's it. He's not making it sound terrible. If it sounds terrible, that's on you. It is terrible. I mean, really, listen to this again.
Wants kindergarten child's parents deported.
You make it sound terrible. You make it sound like it's terrible, but...
Oh, well, I'm just writing down what you're telling me.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Sounds terrible. Let's see, I can write that down too, I guess.
He's funny, dude. I like this guy.
And that's Hispanic in an area where you wouldn't normally see Hispanics. Okay.
Right. Like,
she said right to that. He's Hispanic in an area you wouldn't normally see Hispanics. Right. What?
People that are born in another country.
Yeah, because you normally see those people where?
Like in the cities.
Got it. Okay.
They shouldn't be outside of the city, I guess. This should show you that this is pure, unadulterated racism, right? That's what it's about with these people. It's all about racism and hate.
Hispanics out of place now in...
Hispanics out of place now in country rather than city.
Country, not where they belong in city. So we were able to confirm that they are.
So this is the second call, right? He hung up and now he's calling back to give her new information. All right?
Belong in city. So we were able to confirm that they are documented citizens along with their child.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it's good because we don't have to deport a 6-year-old. And yeah, I mean, you know, that little fella could have been a threat to our national security.
That's funny.
Why are you talking to me like this?
Say again?
Why do you talk to me like this?
I'm sorry, what are you referring to?
Like you're like sarcastic.
What's sarcastic? Why the fuck do you want this kid out? That's what people are claiming, right? National security. It's a national security threat. It's a national emergency, which is justifying the emergency powers that Trump is using, the Insurrection Act and all of that stuff. They're claiming this is a literal invasion, which justifies ICE's existence in the first fucking place. And you're calling about a 6-year-old kid. It's the thinnest excuse to kick brown people out that I have ever seen that you don't fucking like. It's not sarcasm. It's putting your words on paper.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just thought that maybe you'd be okay and just happy that the people that you reported were actually here legally and that they belong. Just like you and me.
Could I talk to your supervisor? You said you had a supervisor.
Yeah.
Oh, she doesn't like her words being restated back to her, does she?
I just thought you were going to be happy.
Yeah, I am happy, but I'm not happy with your attitude. You just said to me, the 6-year-old won't be a threat to national security.
Yeah.
That's sarcastic.
That's not sarcastic. That is, word for word, what the Trump administration is claiming. It's an invasion. Anchor babies and all of that. They're trying to invade the United States, and they're having children when they come here so that they don't have to leave and all of that. It's nonsense. This is not how the world works. You don't just up and have a kid on a whim. And kids are not a threat to national security, okay? Not like this. This is fucking vile.
think that the people that were deporting, especially 6-year-olds, that there would be a good reason for it.
I was talking about the people who I thought they're illegal because they were born in a different country. I can't help that they have a 6-year-old. That's on them.
You know what we'll do? I'll get in touch with the supervisor. I send him a text. When he gets back to me, I'll see if he can follow up with you. And
what is his name?
His name is Brian. But yeah, thought you'd be happy to know that they're documented, but we'll have the follow-up.
I am happy. I'm super happy. I'm glad. Yeah.
I can tell.
That's wonderful.
Well, it's good. The 6-year-old can stay in the school, and, I know it's tough looking at him. But yeah, we'll get on...
Ouch, dude.
My supervisor just he can give you a call back in a little bit.
All right, this is the call from the supervisor. Obviously, it's the same person. Remember, the supervisor's name is supposed to be Brian, and the original guy's name is supposed to be Greg, right? Listen to the conversation here.
My understudy here said you were having some issues with him about some out-of-place Hispanics.
Some out-of-place Hispanics.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
You sound exactly like Greg. Okay. I just didn't like his attitude.
I really do apologize for that. Looks like Brian said we did...
Shit. It seems like he kind of blew his cover here by calling himself Brian.
Confirm the document...
Or by calling the other guy Brian. He's supposed to be Brian, right?
Status of the... looks like Brian said we did confirm the document status of these individuals. And we're happy we were able to do that for you despite the sarcasm and the things that you're complaining about.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that they're fine folks and belong here and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I can tell.
But he was criticizing me because there was a 6-year-old boy involved.
He was literally repeating your words back to you.
You know what I mean? But he's acting like I'm this terrible person because I'm going to deport a 6-year-old. And in fact, he goes today, because a 6-year-old would be a threat to national security.
Actually, he said, so he's not a threat to national security. She is an evil human being. She is an informant. And I hope this dude's keeping a list of these people, because we're going to need that list during transitional justice, during our transitional justice phase. Fucking disgusting, dude. Sorry, I'm trying to clean this off. All right. There are 5 of these, and some of them are really long, actually. Let's see. How long have we been going? 21 minutes. Okay, that's not terrible. It was just a prank, bro. Give that a shot when the time comes. Give it a shot and see how that plays out in a transitional justice system. Anyway, let's talk about the next one. Hold on. Let's see here.
I have my own
Scale didn't work. That's annoying. It's okay.
I have my own hotline. I have a website.
All right, here we go. Actually, first, let me scale this in a bit. And this one is also scaled. Oh boy, that's not
I made
good.
a website for...
All right. Check this dude out. He's on TikTok.
I have a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and people end up on the site thinking that it's legitimate. I had 2 individuals contact me. One of them that wanted every 7-Eleven store investigated, and another that wanted to deport his ex-wife.
What we could do is even sending a letter will suffice first that immigrants might be hired.
That's insane, dude.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a contact for the representatives at 7-Eleven. And I can absolutely have a letter submitted by the end of the day today, if not tomorrow. I'll send you over the letter that we submitted, and we'll go over it for our reports. Does that sound good?
Yep. And another thing with regard to 7-Eleven, they also know it. You know, 7-Eleven franchisor also knows it, that it is happening.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know why? Because they have the camera system. They are watching it.
They can see from the cameras. When they look in the cameras, they can tell by looking at the person working behind the counter that this is an illegal immigrant.
Right. Like, how would you even tell such a thing? You can't tell if somebody is undocumented. You mean they're hiring people who are not white? Is that what you mean? That's not a crime, last I checked. How fucking vile. It's so transparently about racism at this point, right? Everybody knows it's about racism now.
Yeah. Brother Rob, how are you?
Hi, how are you? So
is this the second call?
By looking at the person working behind the counter that this is an illegal immigrant.
Yeah. Brother Rob, how are you?
Hi, how are you? We reached out to 7-Eleven corporate, sent them a memo. They sent their reply back. Were you able to see that?
Yeah, I saw that. You know, when you said that, don't stop hiring. They said no.
Yeah, they just said no. Just no.
They just said no. That's funny. I mean, obviously the whole thing is just him, right? It's a comedian. It's a bit that he's like calling these people. And these are real people who are really doing this shit. But he's playing a joke on them. Hang on. It's getting warm in here now. Let me also turn my fan on. Hang on 1 second. That was easier than I thought. And he gets a fake one and it just says no. That's good. I like that.
No means that they won't stop, or it means that they don't have one.
I think it means they're not gonna listen to us.
Yes, rather they should have written in a way that we appreciate your concern.
I'm sorry, I can't read. One more time.
They're not gonna listen to us.
Yes, rather they should have written in a way that we appreciate your concern.
I mean, this guy is certainly an immigrant, right? Not assuming he's undocumented, but he doesn't speak English without an accent. And I figure if you're born in America, you go through an American school system and you'll probably speak English with almost no accent, most likely, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that or with having an accent or whatever. This guy apparently does, which is what confuses the hell out of me. I don't understand what you're doing. Why are you doing this to people? Innocent fucking people like you. You could be one of these people.
No, they don't seem concerned at all. As a matter of fact, I did just get sent me another letter. I can share this with you.
They sent me another letter just now. And it's 7-Eleven. Attention, dear, we are not concerned at all. Sincerely. 7-Eleven. Oh, that's funny. He put exactly in the letter what the dude said was suspicious about the letter. That's good.
We are not concerned at all.
Wow.
Yeah, we are not concerned at all.
That's what we were just talking about.
What is that?
It's almost like they're listening to our conversation.
We are not concerned at all.
What kind of a stupid fucking laugh was that? That's awesome.
We are not concerned at all. What does that mean?
It says exactly what you were saying. They don't seem concerned, and
anybody in his right mind will not send this kind of communication.
It seems like they've lost their minds.
Yeah, they seem like that. They don't care, you know.
They sent me something else.
Oh boy.
They are just sending now, replying to you now, or what?
Yeah, they just now sent another one.
Attention, dear, we have lost our minds. Sincerely, 7-Eleven. That's funny. He's very obviously mocking the guy now, right? Like, that's clear as day. Like,
did you get that?
It's clear as day to the guy now. It has to be.
It says we have lost our minds.
Oh, wow, yeah. This 7-Eleven has lost their minds.
I got a number from Bill. It's it's for my wife.
Okay.
So my wife came here. She came here on.
And so is this another one? A different dude? My wife came here on a spouse visa?
Spouse visa. I got issues with her, and she left me. She filed a divorce, and I wanted to know if you can help me to file that fraud.
You want to get your wife deported?
I don't know if that could be possible or not.
So if it is possible, would you like us to go ahead and deport her?
Yes.
Let's say we...
That is so incredibly fucked up, dude. What is wrong with these people? These people are collaborators. I'm sorry. These people are informants at a bare minimum, all right? And when transitional justice happens, which is like the denazification process, when that happens, every last one of them are fucked. They are all fucked. They're going to be submitted to truth commissions at a bare minimum, some of whom will probably be sent through lustration. They're not getting away with this. This is insane. You know something that I've heard a lot from the black community, from black people that I know and black creators that I work with or whatever, or watch? There's absolutely zero hope among them. None of them believe anything is going to happen. And when I ask why that is, they tell me it's because this exact shit has been happening to the black community since day one. This is not new for the black community. White people don't experience this, and as a result, have no idea that this is happening. Like, just are completely in the dark here. I think the reason that it's going to happen now, and it wouldn't happen before, even though, you know, it's been happening to black people all along, ICE-style attacks and stuff, is because it's white people suffering now. For better or worse, it's white people suffering now.
You do get her deported. Do you have a replacement wife in line?
Do you have a replacement wife in line?
I don't. I will get married again, but not anytime soon. Cause
Do you want us to wait till you have a new wife in line?
no, the thing is, if I wait for a new wife to get in line, I can't get a new wife in the line. When she left me for 1 month, I already sent it to immigration. I sent an email to immigration office.
That's fucking evil, dude. The guy sent his wife's name to the immigration office. How fucking evil is that? That is some evil shit.
I don't think we are happy with each other. You just not use me.
And so now she's actually left you, and so now you're seeking a revenge deportation of her.
Yeah, she filed a restraining order against me after leaving my house. I do not have lawyer at this time, but I just had a Bill. You know, Bill. He's the one who's helping with typing and doing paperwork together. And now I had a restraining order on me, and also she put a divorce. Next week she hired a lawyer and she put a divorce. Now,
Okay, so she divorced him, is what he's saying.
divorce is done.
So she did complete the divorce?
She did complete the divorce, yes. I have a divorce certificate already from the court, and judge stamped it already.
And so you would like to, in return to her, complete the deport of her?
Yes.
Well, things are good. We talked to Singh,
Okay, yeah, he called me, he's a good guy. He was talking something I didn't understand. I said, man, regarding that, perhaps he can talk to you.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
might
he
be
is.
able to help.
He's a good guy, other than wanting to get his ex-wife deported. And
Not deported, he just wanted, I think.
no, yeah, he definitely said he wants to.
Yeah, that was made very clear. He wants her deported.
Yeah.
Get her deported.
Because,
So when he
her-
said that, here's how I reacted. I kind of laughed, and here's what.
Which is exactly what he did. Or was that the previous guy? That's funny.
That sound familiar?
Let's leave that, Okay, then what happened? That's not good.
Yeah. No, that was you. That was your laugh.
Okay. Yeah, if
Oh, that's funny.
in any way I could help, let me know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. You already had us contact all the 7-Elevens, and that was a big job for us. Yeah. Just got off the phone with Bill, and he said to say hello.
Oh, okay, bye.
Yeah. So do you guys know each other personally?
Yeah,
Okay. So you never tried to deport each other though, right?
no,
Okay. Just ex-wives.
right.
Right. Okay. Well, we're gonna see if we can go ahead and deport her, but just gotta check into a few things first. Go ahead and don't contact her, and don't say anything to her. Don't report her to any other agencies, and we'll take it from here. You'll hear back from us in 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
Worst comes to worst, 6 to 12 years, but we'll just go from there. Sound good?
6 to 12 months or 6 to 12 years?
It depends. Leaning towards years, could be months as well.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude. I can't believe how fucking vile and evil these people are. That they would ruin someone's life so completely and thoroughly. I just don't understand, dude. Like, my God. How does one become so fucking evil? Especially knowing what ICE is up to right now. How do you justify such an evil act? They could be killed in the process of attempting to deport them or whatever.
Is it gonna cost me, or it's just covered by the government?
Yeah, I would save up a little bit of money just in case we do end up deporting, because yeah, we will need some gas money from you.
Like how much? Like we are.
Let's see. Round trip, I'd say $600 to $1,200, something in that range. Just need to let that process happen without interfering. So we're just gonna have to ask that you make zero contact, and don't even let her know that you called us. Any of that, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
But yeah, if we do end up deporting, we will need $600 to $1,200 from you.
6 to 1200.
He likes the numbers 6 to 12. 6 to 12. It's a big range. How fucked up is this, though? Seriously. Okay, I know that I get a key here. There's a key in these boxes, and it's not there, and I don't understand why.
If you guys deport her, right?
Yeah, just for gas
If
money.
everything went.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And that's only if she get deported, and it could take 6 to 12 months, right?
Or years.
Or years.
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad.
That's not bad, he says.
I have a.
How fucking disgusting, dude. These people are seriously evil. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. They will get what's coming to them. Every last one of them will. They will get what's coming to them. All right, there's another one here. I have this, all right, you know what? I'm just going to jump into it.
I have a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and sometimes people end up on the site thinking that it's real. And one person wanted me to look into an employee working at the grocery store Publix.
It was a young Spanish woman who couldn't speak English, but she somehow understood when I was looking for cold water. She was able to walk me and point me in the right direction, but
Whoa, so she does speak English then, is what you're saying?
couldn't communicate with me in English.
Okay, and so now you want us to go ahead and remove her from the country.
Completely ruin her life.
Well, if this is something you're doing, what's your goal?
What's she doing? What's your goal here? Are you shitting me? To live life? Maybe? I talked about this in another video, so I'm not going to go through it again, but there's something called transitional justice. Just look that up on my YouTube channel, my main channel. And I talk about what's going to happen to these people, the informants, after dictatorship collapses back into democracy. It's not going to be good for them. They're not going to have a good time.
Goal here? You know, what was the intent? What was the whole point of the reporting?
Okay.
Fact check. Do you work for the government, Brian?
I am in affiliation in a non-affiliated way with the government. We do work coherently and cohesively with the ISIS.
The 3 customers in front of my husband and I were like number.
Wow. So he basically said no, and she continued on anyway to tell him. Jesus fucking Christ.
4 in line at the checkout. The 3 customers in front of us also did not speak English.
God.
The 3 customers? Who gives a fuck? Why do you give a fuck? I don't understand how this is any of your fucking business. By the way, this is how the Nazis succeeded in giving the impression that they were like all-seeing and all-knowing, was by getting the citizenry to report on each other. One thing that happened in Germany that has not happened here is grassroots support completely collapsed in Germany. Grassroots support collapsed because nobody trusted each other anymore. Like the communists didn't trust the Catholics didn't trust the Social Democrats, no one trusted each other. And as a result, nobody would work together and they would turn each other in like this. This is exactly how it happened right here. Germany had a program called the denouncement program. The Gestapo had this program. And the Gestapo was basically just like a... it was like the criminal, like the police department who investigated acts that were subversive to the state or whatever. And they had a criminal division called the Kripo. Seriously, it's called the Kripo. So anyway, the Gestapo handled denouncements, and the Kripo handled like bomb threats and things, and terrorist cells and stuff like that. Mostly, to my understanding. Anyway, the Gestapo only had around 15,000 people that worked for the Gestapo, but they gave the impression that they were this all-seeing, all-powerful force because they were so they seemed to be so ubiquitous as a result of people denouncing each other. And that's exactly what's happening right here, right now. People are denouncing each other, basically. This is right here, the exact thing that led to the fall of Germany. This is how we failed in World War II. This. We need to shame these people off the face of the fucking planet. Because this is how we lose against the Nazis. Seriously.
Gotcha.
So it's a community. It's an entire community.
She helped you find the water. Then she takes you to the cashier. It was at that point when you made the connection that multiple Publix employees.
I asked her in English. Can you show me where you got your cold bottled water? Mm-hmm. She couldn't communicate with me.
And then she did help you find the water.
Right. She walked me right to it.
Oh, so she does speak English then.
And so despite her ability to help you find the water, you feel like she should be put in a van and driven across the border.
No, that's not. No.
No, that's exactly what she wants, right? That's what she said. What do you think deportation is? That's what it is. That's what happens. What are you expecting here? You think they're going to give her a little card that says, "Great job, you don't speak English"? What do you think they're going to do when you call these people and tell them this person is not an American citizen? He's describing what they're going to do. Best case, put him in a van, drive him across the border. Best case. Worst case, they're going to die in some concentration camp.
That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's worth an interest. It's worth a peek.
Gotcha. Okay. But if we were to take a peek and find out, yeah, she actually isn't in the country legally, then it would be worth putting her in that van and driving her over the border.
Well, I mean, and a lot of them will tell you that they've been here for years. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, they still can't speak English.
Do you have any fucking clue how difficult it is to learn a new language? I wonder how many languages this person knows. Certainly just one, right? And barely one. I tried to learn German, and it's fucking hard, dude. It is hard to learn a new language. You have to have a strong grip on the language that you already speak. You have to understand how this language works really, really well to be able to learn a new language. Like, does she know what an adjective or an adverb is? If she doesn't know what those things are, which I doubt she does, she's not learning a new language anytime soon. These people are impressively learning new languages. Like, holy shit, that's impressive.
So there's no assimilation. You know what I mean? I'm not asking you to go, guns blazing.
No, that's exactly what she was expecting and hoping for, obviously. And when faced with her own words, she changed her mind, or she couldn't face it down, or she decided it was a little bit too harsh to put into words, so decided to back down, even though that's exactly what she intended. If that's not what she intended, she shouldn't have called ICE of all fucking people. I know 2 languages, English and bad English, right? Keep up the great work. I appreciate that. Yeah. I understand English is the hardest language to learn, actually. Because it's a complete mess of a language. Like, I before E, except after C is nonsense. That's not even true. There's an addition to this, to the little phrase, except something as in neighbor and way. I don't remember what the rest of the phrase is. However, that's still not the end of the phrase. There's even more. Hang on. Let me find it. 1 second. As my friends in Mexico say, uno momentito, por favor. See, I'm learning a new language. All right. Hang on. I before E except after C, or when sounded as A as in neighbor and way. And weird is just weird. And there's another extended version. I before E except after C, or when sounded as A as in neighbor and way, or in the weird words where neither rule works and you just have to memorize it. The rule has so many exceptions, as some linguists and educators argue it does more harm than good. There are actually more words that break the rule than follow it. There, foreign, height, protein, caffeine, either, neither. Anyway, the point is, English is a very, very difficult language to learn because you just have to learn how some of these things are spelled completely inexplicably. There is no logical rule or basis to any of it. It's just a mess. I before E except after C, and when sounded like A as a neighbor and way, and on weekends and holidays and all throughout May, and you'll always be wrong no matter what you say. Is that? I knew there was more to it, and I was wondering what it was. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. English is a mutant hybrid of Germanic and Latin languages. Now throw in borrowed words from all over the planet. There are dozens of different ways to conjugate verbs. Yeah. It's the hardest language to learn, which is what confuses me about the fact that English is considered the international language. Why would they make English the international language? That's wild. It's so difficult. Chinese, like Mandarin, seems difficult, not even close to English. Although we're not tonal, so there's that. But anyway.
What I'm saying is there of the only two employees that we encountered, neither one of them could speak English at an American grocery store. So you can do with the information what you choose, but that's all I'm saying. It's worth looking into, is what I think.
Our representative did meet with the store managers just recently. They were able to conclude that they are documented citizens, every employee at that particular Publix.
So you just tried to turn a bunch of people in for absolutely no fucking reason. Literally because they know a second language and you don't know a second language. It's shameless. These people are shameless.
My supervisor also wanted me to reach out because we record all of our calls for quality assurance, and he was listening to the last call, and there was some unprofessionalism on my end that I apologize for. So he just wanted to reach out and see if you'd be interested in a free year of Duolingo.
Of Duolingo, dude. She's complaining about people not speaking English well, and he's offering her Duolingo. That's funny.
Us.
No. And to be honest with you, there was some words spoken that really kind of put me on edge. It seemed as though it was, somewhat of a leading conversation on your end. I wasn't, pushing or forcing for these people to be picked up and removed.
That's very clearly what she was planning, right? I mean, what the fuck did you think you were going to accomplish by calling ICE? What was the goal with that? I mean, that's who she thought she was calling. What did you think was going to happen when you called ICE and told them that these people are not here legally or whatever? She just doesn't like her words being displayed in front of her face so obviously.
I wanted the store investigated.
And so once the investigation was concluded, we determined that they won't be picked up and removed.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry, Brian, what was your last name?
Robinson. And just on my end, I have to say this, but Duolingo is a language learning platform and app that
He's doing a Duolingo ad for her now. Oh, that's funny, dude.
helps people learn new languages through interactive lessons. It's designed to make learning feel like a game, using points, streaks,
He sells it so well with being so monotone. That's funny, dude.
and levels to keep users motivated.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it. I'll take a pass, but thank you.
Duolingo's free bite-sized lessons feel more like a game than a textbook, and that's by design. Learning is I just got to get through this, sorry. Learning is easier when you're having fun.
Okay.
But Duolingo isn't just a game. It's based on a methodology proven to foster long-term retention and a curriculum aligned to an international standard.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's so painful, dude. The cringe.
I didn't realize this call was going to become a sales pitch.
Let's explore how language learning happens with Duolingo.
Okay.
So
Who's your supervisor, Brian?
I just have two more paragraphs. Language.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Language is ultimately
She said, go ahead?
a communication tool. Duolingo takes a functional approach by focusing on what learners actually want to do with a language.
I cannot believe she said, go ahead to two more paragraphs of this shit.
Lessons focus on a real-life goal. For instance, ordering at a restaurant. So for your case, talking to the workers at Publix. Learners develop the vocabulary and grammar needed to achieve that goal through lots of varied practice in reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
You know, honestly, this is a really clever idea. drilling home that it's not fucking easy to learn a new language. Okay, I did German for a year on Duolingo and listened to podcasts and stuff like that to try to learn German, and it's hard, dude. It is really hard. I say I'm intermediate. I can understand more than I can speak. I can speak very little. And I don't have the accent down perfectly. But I think I could probably walk into a room with a bunch of Germans and understand what they're trying to communicate. And I could probably be dropped in Germany and make my way through. I could probably figure it out. It wouldn't be too bad.
Duolingo, no hidden fees, no premium content, just free learning.
Okay. And what was your supervisor's name?
His name was Brian as well.
Brian, and what's his last name?
Robinson.
They're both Brian Robinson. She has to know she's being trolled now, right? She must.
Okay. So you don't have a supervisor, is that what you're telling me?
I do. His name is also Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude. This is awesome. I love this guy to death. Some of this shit is so ridiculous. I just cannot believe that people do this shit. That they call in and say and do this is fucking evil. Seriously. Hold on. Wait, what was it? Website creator, TikToker pretends. All right, hang on. Wait 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to open. There we are. All right. Good. Let me just zoom in. And that one is not right. Okay. I came across this TikTok dude. Listen to this.
I made a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and sometimes people end up on the website thinking that it's real. And somebody wanted to report a man that they suspected to be an illegal immigrant that lives in their neighborhood. So I reached out to see if I could help.
There is one person who comes, and he's non-English speaking, and he will come possibly, maybe you'll see him 2 weekends out of the month, and it's not even for a complete weekend. He'll come Saturday like a thief in the night at 10:30, 11:30 at night. And then.
So there are a lot of logical explanations for why this guy comes home late. Maybe he works late. Maybe he spends the day with his family and he works in another area. So he has to come to this area to spend time with his family or whatever. There are so many good explanations. And she jumps right to, he absolutely must be an undocumented threat to national security. Fucking vile, dude.
And leave Sunday and he's gone.
Okay.
It's just very, very suspicious. While he is here, when he pulls into the driveway,
Yeah.
and the light's always on.
They're using electricity in the home.
That's funny, dude. It's suspicious because they're using electricity in the home. That is top tier shit.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that is definitely suspicious.
Yes.
And they're also using the driveway.
Right, and the light is always lit in the garage. When he comes, the light stays on.
I don't understand why that's suspicious, seriously. Why is any of this suspicious? What motivated her to call ICE on somebody because the light in their garage is on all the time? How does that indicate in any way that he's undocumented? I just don't understand.
We cannot see the basement section from our kitchen window.
Why is it any of your fucking business what is in his basement? Seriously.
Only see that there's a light lit, and that's the garage window that we can see the light lit.
Yeah.
So
just not being able to see what the resident is doing inside their own home, that's what raises the suspicions.
Exactly.
Is he able to see you in your home?
He can't look in our windows.
So he wouldn't know.
He doesn't.
He wouldn't know what you are doing in your home.
Right. He wouldn't know if you are undocumented then, right? Am I reading this correctly?
No.
From his home, which
No.
could actually make you to him suspicious.
Well, we don't hide from him. Will not speak to us. He ignores us. So when he comes and he sees us, he totally ignores us.
Okay.
And goes right inside.
Do you have a need to feel seen?
No. No, not.
She's still taking this seriously. Just fucking vile, dude. These people are evil. These are like... These people are what is wrong with society right here. You can't mind your own fucking business, really? Are you completely incapable of minding your own fucking business?
Necessarily.
But by him,
you
have a need to feel seen by him, though.
Yes. Sometimes he will bring packages, and he will leave with different packages. He will
Oh, no. Does he get Amazon delivered, too?
leave with something else.
Do you use Amazon yourself?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you've had different packages as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he's pointing out how ridiculous her arguments are. That she's complaining about the exact shit that she is doing too. There is no shame in these people, dude. There's no self-awareness. I just don't get it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he may deem that as, once again, he might look at you, says, I don't know what you're doing in your home. She's got different packages. She is actually suspicious.
Well, he actually doesn't see our packages unless he sees them, unless he drives by the front of our home.
So you can
and
actually
looks.
see more of what he's doing than he can see what you're doing.
We're not nosy. We're not.
Oh, no, you're not? Could have fooled me. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm telling you, if you want to feel better about this, we will see a period of time soon. I argue within the next couple of years where these people are going to... People involved in informing on undocumented immigrants are going to face consequences for what they did as informants. They're going to be subjected to truth commissions. That's what happens in transitional justice systems. It's a whole area of law that I tapped into. And they are all fucked, every last one of them.
Not going to go around the property, around the circumference or the diameter of the
Perimeter. The word is perimeter, Jagoff.
place and take a look at what's going on. We have never done that.
You would never. No, you would never do that. You would,
No.
however, report them to authorities to do that.
Yes, exactly. Like, she's trying to do that. She's trying to have that done. She wants that for these people. She just doesn't want to be the one who does it. And she's going to pretend that she's better than that or something, when that is exactly what she's trying to have done.
Well, if I feel something is suspicious going on, yes. Why would anyone in Florida buy a property and not live in it?
None of your fucking business. That's why. People can do whatever the fuck they want with their property. Jesus Christ, dude.
Not rent it out. That's suspicious in itself. We heard
What is suspicious about this?
a very, very loud noise one night. My boyfriend heard, we heard a very loud bang or smash or, whatever it was that he heard. And he didn't know what that was. First thing he thought of was, gee, I hope they're not running a meth lab. So.
Okay, she heard him drop something and she thought meth lab? Did you see any other reason to think there's a meth lab? Have you seen smoke coming out of the windows? Have you seen gas masks lying around in the trash or whatever? Have you smelled weird smells around the neighborhood? Have weird, itchy people been walking around the house? No, literally none of that. She says he comes home late and she heard a bang one night. That's literally it. These people are fucking broken, dude. There's no saving these people. I don't even want to anymore. I don't intend to. I'm ready for truth commissions and prison for the criminals who took part in this whole process.
Mm-hmm. You know, people owning different homes and not always being in them 24/7. That raises a feeling of suspicion.
Well, certainly.
Probably millions of people who own different homes and may not be in them 24/7.
Well, that might be, but it raises suspicion with me. Why would you buy a $230,000 home and not live in it?
Because it's none of your fucking business, that's why. Right off the top of my head, maybe you bought it for your daughter who's getting married next year, and you go there every now and then for general upkeep. And you work all day, you know, you work 9 to 5, and you're tired, and you don't want to, like, go immediately over to the house to, like, check on, you know, the water pressure or whatever, and make sure everything is working, or whatever. So you go, like, later in the evening, and then you work on whatever you're working on, and then you just go to sleep there, and then you go to work the next morning. That's a possibility, right? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. That's right off the top of my head. I've put, like, almost no thought into this, and that's the first thing I came up with. And the first thing she comes up with is meth lab, is undocumented sanctuary or some shit. Really, what is wrong with these people? I'm not making videos for these people anymore. I'm not trying to convince them anymore. I'm done trying to convince them. I'm ready for truth commissions and lustration and prison. I'm ready for that, for these people now. Fuck them. I don't even care anymore.
Or not rent it out. Now let's be practical about it. Let's be logical.
I think that's great.
That in itself raises suspicion in me, because I don't know what this man is doing over there.
I'll tell you what he's doing. It's none of your fucking business. Leave him alone. What is it with nosy fucking people and their complete inability to just leave their fucking neighbors alone? I don't understand what this obsession is about with their fucking neighbors.
That's because you don't.
I'm not going to peek in his windows to see, but
that's good.
I've always been that way. I'll be nice to my neighbors, and that's it. You know?
No, it really does sound like you definitely mind your own business when you're not looking out the windows.
I prefer it that way. I prefer it that way.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna conduct an investigation. We'd ask if you just don't look, don't bother, don't do anything, and
no.
As soon as we gather some more information, but I would just want to let you know it's going to be okay, and just be sure not to don't even look out the window.
No, certainly won't.
Wait, is this the second call?
Don't even look out the window.
No, certainly won't.
Yes, I think this is the second call. Yeah, this is the lead paint generation. That's a good point. And that's 100% real. It is the lead paint generation. They had paint chips made out of lead, and they'd sit there and they would chip them off at night because they're bored to tears. And what else are they going to do? Because they don't have cell phones. They don't have computers. They don't even know how to read because of all the lead paint they've ingested. Anyway, so they chip off pieces of lead paint from the walls and they eat it. Or even more damning or troublesome is leaded gasoline. Leaded gasoline was being used at that time in the 60s, the 70s. And the ambient lead level in society was through the fucking roof. Very, very dangerous. Like, IQs dropped dramatically because of how much lead there was in the atmosphere. And we're dealing with the consequences of that now. We're dealing with people who grew up eating lead paint chips. Seriously. I'm not saying that to hurt their feelings or whatever, but Jesus Christ, dude.
I have some really great news about the individual that you called about.
Really?
Yeah, I was able to visit with him.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, when I showed up, I actually he was listening to Michael Jackson, the song "Smooth Criminal."
Mm-hmm.
The Smooth Criminal. You aware of that song?
No, I
You've
don't
been
think
hit-
I'm familiar.
Oh, what, you've been struck by a smooth criminal.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I thought that was funny because you were actually investigating to see whether he is a criminal.
Right. Right.
But what we learned is that the reason he's listening to Michael Jackson is to further learn English. So he is, and we were able to check his documents. He's a non-criminal legal citizen, which that was great. We were able to ask some questions about the stuff that he does.
You know, these people don't seem to feel that it's great when they find out that they're actually documented immigrants or that they're just citizens or whatever. They don't seem to feel the same way, like as he's portraying. And I'm sure that's probably why he's saying that. He's portraying it that way because he knows they don't feel good about it. They want people to suffer. Cruelty is the point. They want people to go to jail or whatever. It's fucking evil, dude. These people seriously need help. They need help.
I know you had some suspicions there. He does like electricity, so he's a human being.
So that's where that comes from when he requested electricity be whatever.
Yeah, he does.
Oh my God, dude. He literally had a fucking light on in his driveway, and that's him liking electricity in this woman's mind. Jesus Christ.
Does like to use electricity, which is it's unique to him as a person. You know, he's a human being, and you know, some human beings like electricity, others don't. But he turns out he's one that does. And he does like to be able to see what he's doing because he does work when he's in the home. He builds school parts for needy children, like rulers, school supplies.
Okay, come on.
Protractor, calculators. And so, yeah, I know you did have some suspicions that he was running a meth lab.
That was something that was mentioned by my friend when he thought he heard a loud bang come from next door.
Right.
Like, has she seen a meth lab before? Has she even seen Breaking Bad? Has she seen an artist's depiction of a meth lab? What do you think the bang would be in this equation with a meth lab? I don't understand. Good morning. Welcome, Moonshadow. Thanks for coming. Sitting here trying not to feel insulted about the lead paint thing. I'm sorry. Well, do you live in Australia? I feel like you live in Australia. I'm sorry. Some people didn't sit there and eat lead paint, and some of the lead paint did not affect their brains completely. Like, the United States still had a lot of like Nobel Prizes for literature and science and chemistry and stuff at the time. It's just, there was a lot of damage done by lead products, lead pipes, lead paint, leaded gasoline. You live in the same state as me, really? Now, after I've moved? Interesting. For some reason, I thought you were in Australia. I don't know why I thought that. That's weird. Huh. Maybe I'm thinking of another person who comes into the Discord chat every day, who's also from Australia. Or, I'm sorry, who is from Australia, not also. Anyway, all right, let's continue. I wouldn't take it personally. My mom and dad are also from the lead generation, and they're reasonably smart people, or were before they died. You can be plenty intelligent from that generation, but New York City had the highest number of serial killers, for example, in like the 70s. And after the lead went away, after the lead paint, after the leaded gasoline went away in the lead pipes, their serial killer rate dropped through the floor. They had almost none. So I wouldn't take it personally. It's just how it works.
Well, good news is I could confirm that it's not a meth lab. It's actually a math lab.
Okay, that's ridiculous. I appreciate the play on words, though.
Math lab.
Yes, he's building rulers and school supplies for needy children and orphan children, which is great. It's a lot better than a meth lab. I just thought you'd find some relief in that. He is documented, and
you can tell she's not feeling relief, right? She's not happy about this. She was hoping to get rid of him. Used to live in King of Prussia, which is close. That's true. That's true. I know where King of Prussia is. Hell, we may actually live in the same city, because I'm actually outside of Philadelphia. Do you want to say the first letter of the city that you're in? Mine is L. You may be able to guess from that. L. I don't know if you know the area. I'm not very familiar with the area yet. I'm figuring it out. Anyway.
I think as an American citizen and a person who owns multiple homes in the United States, I think we should give him that right. And so we just like to ask that you just leave him be, and just let him live his life.
We've never bothered him.
It doesn't sound like you've never bothered him. Sounds like that's all you're fucking doing. It sounds like you're trying to peek in his windows, or at least thinking about peeking in his fucking windows. It sounds like you're literally calling ICE on him. That's not never bothering him.
We've not once bothered him.
Well,
you literally called ICE on him.
That's great.
Not once.
Oh, great.
Not once.
Great.
So I don't like being accused of bothering him.
Oh.
Like that.
Oh,
but
no.
I'd like to know what is his residence? Why does he come and go? He hasn't been here for a month.
Yes.
It's none of your fucking business.
So,
1 month. And he owns the property.
Yes.
That's another concern.
So there are...
Because nobody takes us seriously, I tend not to believe anything you're telling me. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't believe it.
So there are millions of people who own multiple homes?
So she calls ICE, and ICE tells her this person is documented, and she says, I don't believe you. I'm going to continue harassing him. What?
In the United States, and he does happen to be one of those millions of people.
He's the owner?
Yes.
Then why do you have a Pennsylvania?
Why? Well, I'm not even...
Then why does he have a Pennsylvania plate there in Florida? Why does he have a Pennsylvania plate? You're not allowed to own a home in another state? Is that illegal now? Are you the home police?
I'm going to continue the conversation because it's hopeless.
I'm
not happy. I'm not happy, and that's all there is to that. Where did you meet with him?
That's not the point. Where the property is listed to an owner in Florida.
Where did you meet with him?
Clearly, yes.
Where?
Florida.
Oh, that's just wonderful. That tells me a whole lot. You've been absolutely no help to me whatsoever. Thanks for calling. For nothing. Goodbye.
I don't understand. What did she want from him? What was she planning on, getting out of him or whatever? I don't understand what the point of all of it. Did she want him to tell her some information about the guy, about her neighbor that is none of her fucking business? Is that what it is? Shit is wild, dude. The entitlement is fucking wild with these people.
Hello.
Hi there. This is from Illegal Immigrant Report. Just
Hi.
calling to follow up about our conversation last week.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, just for quality assurance purposes, and my bosses having me do this. I just wanted to see if you were able to take a brief survey about your experience with us.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Okay, so that was the first question on the survey.
Okay, that's funny. I like that. I know where you live. Oh, okay. Moved back to Central PA after I developed fibromyalgia. I wasn't able to work full time. Okay. Disregard then. Are you close to me now then? I know where King of Prussia is.
Survey was from scale of 0 to 10, how likely you would be to do that.
Not likely.
Okay, so a 0?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the end? That's really funny. I guess you hung up. That's hilarious, dude. I love this guy to death. He trolls these people so fucking hard. I'm telling you, these people are fucked. Every last one of them are going to be submitted or subjected to truth commissions. Mark my words. Take it to the bank. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. Okay. We actually have one more. This one is, how long is this one? 2-3 minutes? Okay. Yeah, we can do this one.
Made a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and sometimes people end up on the website thinking that it's real, and somebody wanted to report a man that they suspected to be an illegal immigrant that lives in their neighborhood. So I reached out to see if I could help.
There is one person who comes, non-English speaking. He'll come Saturday like a thief in the night at 10:30, 11:30 at night.
That's weird. This is the same one. Do I have two of the same one?
I made a website for reporting illegal.
See the base?
I made a.
No.
Oh, that was the longer one. Interesting. All right. So that should work.
I have a website for reporting illegal. I have a website. I have my own hotline.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. There were a couple of other things I wanted to hit. CBS Austin. Hold on. During a student walkout in Buda yesterday, police say a fight broke out between an adult man and a minor. Wild. Harrisburg. I'm not familiar with where that is. I'm just not very familiar with the area currently. See if I can pull this up. Share. Copy link. Copy link. And I'm just going to grab these two videos real fast. Process all. Wait. There we are. Process all. Got it. It's working. Nope. One failed. Shit. Is the other one going to fail too? No, the other one succeeded. This one failed, I believe. Yes. Let me try pulling it directly from the link. And also fix aspect ratio. Process all. I'm surprised the Facebook one worked. I didn't expect that one to work. But it did. All right, cool. Yes. Police investigate altercation between adult and juveniles during a Buddhist student walkout. And then... Okay.
One man has been arrested tonight after a student protest in Buda turns violent. Police say a confrontation between a 45-year-old man, Chad Michael Watts, and a minor escalated into a fight during a walkout yesterday. CBS Austin's Farrah Walton joins us live tonight in Buda. Farrah, this is drawing a lot of widespread attention tonight.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, video of that fight has spread quickly on social media. It appears to show a man getting out of his truck at the intersection behind me and getting into a fight with a student before a group of students gets involved, and he eventually is seen getting back into his truck.
So I was like, oh, are they like jumping this guy at first, you know, and then I realized, oh wow, he's like an adult that actually like got of it.
All right, let's see. Hold on. Yes.
One man.
Got it. Okay, good. All right, let me just drag and drop this in. Sorry, 1 second. And rename it. This came out, when did this come out? This is February 4th, 2026, 0204. And then clear. I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second, guys, here. I'm just trying to process these videos. Transcribe, analyze, process all. What? This one is not working? Re-encoding failed? Why? I downloaded it. Why would re-encoding be failing for this? Can I just analyze? No. I don't understand. I can view it and I can't analyze it? All right, whatever. Apparently, there are widespread protests across the country right now against ICE. And this guy shows up. This guy right here shows up, starts attacking a kid, a student at a high school who was protesting at a high school, got arrested for it, shaved all of his facial hair off so he would be less recognizable. Listen to this. Oh, hold on. Wait, I'm sorry. First, actually, let me just open these. Okay, that'll do. This is the fight first. Wait, it doesn't have audio, apparently. The dude just ran up and starts hitting the kids. I don't know what happened. Just a massive altercation. See, there. And, like, he got in a ton of trouble for this, apparently. Check this out.
One man has been arrested tonight after a student protest in Buda turns violent. Police say a confrontation between a 45-year-old man, Chad Michael Watts, and a minor escalated into a fight during a walkout yesterday. CBS Austin's Farrah Walton joins us live tonight in Buda. Farrah, this is drawing a lot of widespread attention tonight.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, video of that fight has spread quickly on social media. It appears to show a man getting out of his truck at the intersection behind me and getting into a fight with a student before a group of students gets involved, and he eventually is seen getting back into his truck.
So I was like, oh, are they like jumping this guy at first, you know, and then I realized, oh wow, he's like an adult that actually like got out of his car. And,
yeah. Yeah, why is he here? Why is he doing this? MAGA has lost the fucking plot completely, dude. Like, MAGA is made up of domestic terrorists. It's a domestic terrorist movement. And by the way, that's not Owen Morgan saying this. This is MAGA saying this. Hold on. This is Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC 2022 in Texas. We are all domestic terrorists. That's what the banner said at CPAC 2022. We are all domestic terrorists. So, again, it's not me saying it. It's them. They acknowledge it.
You know, probably started getting violent or whatever.
This is video taken by a student who attends Mo and Jean Johnson High School in Buda. It shows a fight.
Wait, failed to load video. Oh, I think it's probably because hold on. I was processing it. After violent confrontation, student ICE protest in Buda. Yeah, there we go. Try again. We were at 140 something here, maybe? Where were we?
An adult and a student Monday during an anti-ICE walkout protest.
A full-grown adult on a young high school girl is a lot of power to overthrow, and so it took enough people around finally to get him off of her.
The fight happened during a string of student walkouts across Central Texas to protest immigration and law enforcement operations Monday.
We know we have students in our schools who have had family members disappear. So, of course, they are engaged.
Tonight, Buda police announced they'd arrested 45-year-old Chad Michael Watts from Kyle in connection with the fight. Investigators say he was the primary aggressor.
I would love to know why his head is so stretched here. Is this a medical condition?
From Kyle in connection with the fight.
Look at this. What's wrong with his head here?
Investigators say he was the primary aggressor, and he's been charged with 2 counts of assault causing bodily injury.
I thought that was crazy. Yeah. That, an adult would go and get out of his car and cause violence.
CBS Austin reached out to Governor Greg Abbott's office for a statement on this incident. His team referred us to this ex-post the governor made about 2 students being arrested during a walkout protest in Kyle Monday.
Yeah, so Greg Abbott said he intended to arrest students who were protesting. And he said he intended to arrest teachers who allowed students to skip class to protest. Abbott is even more of a fascist right-wing extremist than Trump is. I think it would be worse under Abbott than it is under Trump right now. And for that reason, I say Abbott needs to be removed from the political system completely through lustration, through vetting, the same process that Nazis were sent through after World War II. Send them through the same process. Spruikhammer courts, Nuremberg trials, that kind of thing.
He writes, disruptive walkouts allowed by schools lead to just this kind of chaos. Schools and staff who allow this behavior should be treated as co-conspirators and should not be immune for criminal behavior. This afternoon, the Texas Education Agency released guidelines on student walkouts, noting students must be marked absent and schools risk losing daily attendance funding if they allow or encourage students to walk out of class.
I really want to call on Governor Abbott to help turn down the volume and instead of attacking these protesters, emphasize that it is everyone's right to speak their voice.
Yeah, they should be proud. I mean, Texas should be proud of the fact that they have students that are exercising the First Amendment right. Right? It's insane to me that we have a governor or even a president who says such insane things as they should be arrested for protesting. What an un-American thing to say, right? What an un-American thing to say. Abbott has always been a monster. He has. However, I think it's really coming to the the forefront now. I think we can really see him. I think we can really see him for who he is now, where he kept it under wraps a little bit more before. It's wild, dude, what he's willing to do. The laws he's willing to violate, the constitutional rights he's willing to ignore. Abbott is a monster, worse than Trump.
And no one should be harassing someone else for their political engagement.
Hayes County Judge Ruben Becerra says an investigation is underway by the Hayes County District Attorney's Office. In a statement, they say no matter one's political views, an adult bears a clear responsibility to exercise restraint, especially in the presence of children.
Yeah, I thought that was so crazy, like an adult would do that to kids out there.
Anyway, it looks like...
A student I spoke with today says he's glad an arrest has been made and he wants to see justice served in the face of violent behavior towards a peaceful student body. Reporting live in Buda, Farrah Walton, CBS Austin News.
That shit is wild, dude. That we are just in a wild moment in U.S. history. Like, I don't like living through history. Please put me back to where we were, where things are normal and not fucking insane and psychotic. Where, like, grown adults are beating up literal children at schools for protesting, for using their First Amendment rights. Insane. Tell me your thoughts. Okay. Jake Lang. This is another one.
Yeah, but why? Because we support ICE. We're sitting there and talking. Sons of bitches, all right? You're dumbass. Hey.
Hold on. I'm gonna put this aside and I'm gonna come back to that. I'm just looking through here. What's this?
Time, there is a global persecution of Christians happening right now, and no one in the West or even worldwide wants to talk about it with any urgency at all. Instead of fixing immigration or demanding a similar...
This is stupid. Steve Bannon. Right. I remember seeing this.
You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. You're damn.
So he's planning on surrounding the polls with ICE and forcing anybody of color away, not allowing them to vote unless they're white. Palmer trolls. By the way, this guy, Palmer Trolls guy, the ICE dude, he has... Check this out.
My friends and I used to sue each other to get on court television. The court show pays whoever wins, so we'd always make... This is Andy Elliott.
Sorry,
My friends and I used to sue each other to get on court television. The court show pays whoever wins, so we'd always make sure that the plaintiff won, and then we'd split the money. I was a witness on Judge Alex.
Man, I'm just glad we got this money. I needed the money so bad. I'm broke. I have like 3 frozen hamburgers at home. I can't afford to buy toothpaste.
I was a plaintiff on Judge Joe Brown. I played a promoter and I sued my comedian friend over a comedy show.
Promoter Ben Palmer is suing a performer for breach of contract. Defendant Derulio Ledger says he had to leave the show for his own safety.
The club not even in the hood, but the whole hood was inside the club, Your Honor.
I went on Judge Alex again as a defendant. I played a crooked promoter that ran off with my friend's money.
You know how procreation works, right?
No.
You know that there's like a million
He says no.
sperm that go swimming towards that one egg, competing to see which one can fertilize that egg.
Yeah.
I am amazed that yours won.
Yeah. I also did a court show where I was paid to act out a real-life court case that they rewrote for television. I played a defendant on Supreme Justice with Judge Karen for injuring someone during a hockey match.
Completely blindsided.
You mean like if your back is turned to him?
Correct.
He couldn't do it. Is that true?
He wanted me to call him on the phone and tell him I was going to hit him. Or if I'm completely distracted.
Let's stop.
And I played a defendant on The Mediator with Ice-T for injuring my friend during a basketball game. My defense was that my friend injured himself because he was playing basketball in slides.
Kyle, no disrespect. You just can't play basketball in flip-flops.
And he won. That's funny, right? Oh my God, that's awesome.
My friends and I used to sue each other to get on court television. The court show paid...
That's really funny, dude. Okay, that's the end of it. This dude's the shit, right? This is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Same governor who pardoned a man who an entire jury plus the judge unanimously found guilty of murdering a protester in 2020 while pushing at while pushing a wheelchair of his fiance, who's literally twice as paralyzed as Greg. I didn't hear about that, I don't think. Wild, dude. Do you think it will improve? Yes, it will. Absolutely. Just looking through the chat here. Anyway, that's really funny, I think. Cracker Barrel.
When Cracker Barrel changed their logo, a lot of people didn't like it. And so Cracker Barrel changed the logo back and released a statement to their customers saying, "We hear you." So I got the website crackerbarrellistens.com, and I made a website where people could leave their feedback to Cracker Barrel. I made the website using AMP, and thousands of people filled out the form on this website. And so I've been reaching out to them to see if I can help. I asked one person what their favorite and least favorite thing is about Cracker Barrel. They said they like the Southern hospitality, and then they said that the chairs and tables could use a slight tweak. I asked them what's wrong with the chairs and tables. They said maybe they just need new stuff. I said we try to keep our furniture old like our clientele. Makes them feel right at home. They said I like the style, just some restaurants might need new. I said we'd serve old food if we could, but it wouldn't taste good. I asked somebody else what they love most about Cracker Barrel, and they said it's a toss-up between the food and the gift shop. When I asked them what they loved least, they mentioned that the closest location they have is 30 minutes away. So I said we love how you just turned a negative into a positive. From all the folks from over here at Cracker Barrel, we fucking love you. I said, sorry, autocorrect, we love fucking. We love you. That's what we meant to say. Sorry. And they said, you're forgiven. Thank fucking God. When Cracker Barrel changed their logo, a lot of people didn't like.
That's pretty funny, dude. This guy's awesome. Anyway. All right, let's continue with our stuff. I'm going to cover Jake Lang, but we'll do it later. For now, let's cover Nick Shirley's thing. Wow, we've been going for a long time on this dude. Hold on. I think I downloaded this Nick Shirley video already. Yes, I did. Open. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you guys remember Nick Shirley, but he... Hold on. Let me find a video of him. Where is he? Here. No? Here, yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nick Shirley. This is him on screen, but he's honestly got the IQ of a toaster. I'm not saying that to hurt his feelings or anything. He's just not intelligent at all. And he did a YouTube propaganda piece basically on daycares in Minnesota and claimed that there was a bunch of fraud. There's no evidence of fraud. None. He just made this brazen, flagrant claim with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. And Republicans loved it so much they called him to testify in front of Congress. Why? Got me. I have no fucking clue why they called him, of all people, to testify in front of Congress. But let's listen to the testimony and see what he had to say. Let me see where his part starts, because I don't want to listen to stupid garbage. It looks like his part starts roughly right... Who is this?
Strongly suspected that it was.
My name is Dylan Hetler-Gaudet, and I'm the Acting Vice President of Policy and Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight. We are a nonpartisan, independent watchdog that promotes a more accountable, transparent, and effective federal government. We view it as our mission to combat abuse of power and corruption in the federal government, which includes working on rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse.
Why is this...
The unfortunate truth...
Sorry, why is this guy wearing sunglasses indoors in front of Congress? He's giving a speech to Congress. Is this the place for not only wearing sunglasses, but wearing cheap sunglasses at that?
Is that fraud in government programs is a fact of life. Since the United States government has existed, fraud in government has also existed. For much longer than that, in fact. For as long as human beings have been organizing ourselves into societies and building institutions to govern those societies, there have always been those who will seek to take advantage. This is a harsh but real truth related to the human condition, related to our fundamentally fallen and flawed natures.
fallen and flawed. I take that to mean this. I take that to mean this is some kind of a religious message, fallen and flawed natures.
That said, it is still incumbent upon every one of us to do what we can to prevent fraud and to hold perpetrators of fraud accountable. This is especially true when the fraud implicates hard-earned taxpayer dollars and critical public programs and services. This is true whether we're talking about fraud in the context of the Feeding Our Future program or any other program in Minnesota.
Right. Feeding Our Future was the program that was defrauding Minnesota, actually. They took a bunch of money from the state to feed children, and they kept it. It was run by a white woman, basically. So he has the communication skills of a quadriplegic brick. Well, look at him, right? He's bad.
Whether we're talking about welfare fraud in Mississippi, which involved the participation of a world-famous Hall of Fame NFL quarterback. This is true whether we're talking about fraud in the context of it being perpetrated by large multinational defense companies in the context of multi-billion-dollar contract they have with the Defense Department. The point.
By the way, the Feeding Our Future thing, those people were already charged and sentenced, and they're like in prison now. Like that's been the case for literally years. This was investigated years ago. I think that she was finally just sentenced like 6 to 12 months ago, somewhere in there.
Here is that fraud and the abuse of taxpayer dollars is not related to any particular geographic, demographic, or other boundary or characteristic.
Hang on, let me just see if I can find Nick Shirley's video, because he did a video on this. 1 second. Actually, let me just jump forward to him in this one, because I think this is probably the one. All right, let's start here.
I'll just tip that so everybody will know that as well. So, Mr. Shirley, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Awesome. I'm here today to speak.
Sorry. Awesome. That's definitely something you say in Congress, in the halls of Congress, while you're sitting there giving a speech to Congress. Awesome.
On behalf of all hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens here inside of the United States, I've helped bring to light widespread fraud that's happening inside our nation, and
Again, he didn't expose anything at all. There was no fraud as far as anybody can tell. The daycares that he accused of being fraudulent were not fraudulent. As far as anyone can tell, they were normal daycares that proved themselves by speaking to the news after he left. Like, they let the news in to look at, their setup and everything. There was nothing fraudulent about these daycares. He was completely full of shit. Completely. It's the point.
The people have had enough of our hard-earned money going towards fraudsters as if it's no big deal. As I speak here, I want to ask everyone a question. How much do we trust when we pay our taxes it's going to benefit our nation? People erupted during the Boston Tea Party over just a few percentages as they believed they were being taxed without representation. Nowadays, we have the representation.
It wasn't over a few percentages, just for the record. And it was over, representation at all. And arguably, Washington, D.C. is not represented and should be doing a Boston Tea Party style thing right now. Arguably, they should be, because they don't have a representative in Congress. But okay, whatever.
But do we trust our representatives? My name is Nick Shirley, and I made a 41-minute video that I posted on platforms like X and YouTube. My video received over 100 million views, and it created instant change within our government. As the federal government launched investigations in departments such as Health and Human Services froze over $185 million in child care funding until businesses can prove they are legitimate businesses. I actually became aware of the fraud that was happening in Minnesota in June of 2025 as I was there for a separate video, and Minnesotans started reaching out to me asking me if I was making a video on the fraud. I said, well, what fraud? And this lady, she was a real estate agent, and she says, well, I'm having a hard time selling my properties because people are curious about these assisted livings that are popping up next door to some of the houses that we're buying. Or
Okay, so I don't know if you saw like my other videos, but there's a dude that set up an like a hotline, an ICE hotline. It's a fake hotline, and people will like call in and report their neighbors and stuff to ICE, and he calls them back pretending to be ICE and basically makes fun of them and tears them apart. If you want to see the video, it's on my Fireside channel, I believe, but there are a few of them. But that's what this sounds like to me. This sounds like a woman complaining about her property values and blaming immigrants for it. I mean, real absurd shit. I'm not going to go through this whole video again, but just listen to the opener to this video and you'll see what I'm saying.
I have my own hotline for reporting illegal immigrants, and people call it thinking that it's legitimate. I talked to a kindergarten teacher that wants to deport the parents of a kindergartner at her school. And it looks like they have a child who was born in New York, which makes them an American citizen.
So the kid is an American citizen is the point. Why are you calling this hotline?
Yeah.
So we're looking to deport the parents and leave the child.
Right. Like I said, I don't know if they're here illegally. I just think it's odd, you know? It's just very odd.
What did you say was odd?
It's just odd for them to even be here. Like, I'm a teacher at a school. Okay, I know schools. I know the whole law about schools. I mean, they seem like nice people or whatever, but I looked them up in our files, and I was like, oh, she was born in Honduras, and he's born in El Salvador.
Who gives a fuck? The point is, that's what this sounds like. It sounds like people are finding a reason to destroy people's lives because they don't fucking like them, and that's the bottom line. That's all there is to it. People are seriously evil. Evil.
home health care.
Go one more time with Nick Shirley.
And she says, well, I'm having a hard time selling my properties because people are curious about these assisted livings that are popping up next door to some of the houses that we're buying or the home health care.
Yeah, that's why you're having a hard time selling your property. That's why. Not because you're charging too much. That couldn't be it. It's because it's something someone else is doing. It's always somebody else's fault. Never your fault, right? His own teacher, diabolical. Yes, evil. Fucking evil.
Clinics that are popping up, and we don't know who's next to these houses that we're trying to sell. And I said, well, I'm not going to come and make a video if I don't have any proof. So therefore, I left Minnesota, and I continued to look for fraud in the best way I could. And as I was getting my own information, a man by the name of David reached out to me, and he said, hey, I have been investigating this fraud for years now. I have been driving by these child care centers. I have never seen a single child, and I have received information from the state of Minnesota as to how much money these places are receiving. I said, great.
Again, these facilities that he put on film and claimed were defrauding people, they were actually legit. People went around and questioned them and talked to them and investigated. They have camera footage. They showed camera footage that there were children outside the facility when Nick Shirley was there. So Nick Shirley shows up to Minnesota to some daycare facility, claims that he didn't see any children, and that is justification to claim that these are fraudulent daycares. But there were children there. The CCTV footage showed children walking in while Nick Shirley was standing outside filming. So he lied. He blatantly, flagrantly, intentionally falsified information with the intent to deceive people. That is called a fucking lie.
We come to Minnesota and we'll make this video about potential fraud that was taking place inside of Minnesota. We go to a daycare, and I'm instantly surprised by what we see. We arrived, and it was an industrialized building, and there was 2 daycares registered at that building. And the first thing I noticed is all the windows are blacked out.
No fucking shit. Again, these were legitimate businesses after investigation. They are legitimate daycares that legitimately have children that were standing there when Nick Shirley was filming. and he knows they're legitimate. No fucking shit, the windows are blacked out. That's how daycares work.
And the first thing I notice is all the windows are blacked out, and there's no footprints in the snow of any children.
That's just a lie.
There's no playgrounds.
It's all a lie. Everything that he's saying right now is a complete fictitious fabrication.
Or anything that would make it look like it's a childcare. But above me, a sign read, open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But there was nobody there. The doorbell did not even work.
That's not true. There were people there.
And then we continued to go to other daycares, and we noticed the same pattern. No children, blacked out windows, and one daycare.
I mean, are you surprised that the children were not standing outside of the door? They were inside of the door? Is that a surprise to you? I mean, what is the surprise here? Do you expect children to not be inside? Do you expect daycares to not have blacked out windows? Yes, of course they're going to. They're fucking children. We don't need people peering in and looking at our children. Why do you think schools are locked down? For potential attacker situations, obviously. They are the most vulnerable among us in our society. Obviously, they're going to be the most protected.
A learning center, spelled Quality Learning Center instead of Quality Learning Center.
Right, I saw that typo. Let me just look this up real fast. Hang on. Was a sign that read, and see. Shoot, you know what I just realized? I forgot. I was working on, give me a second, I'm looking this up, but I was working on my text-to-speech system that I have. I named it BookForge. This is it right here. And I've finished a bunch of books. So let's see. Hold on. Yeah, this is my audiobook library. All legal, by the way. Completely legal. But wait, what's this? Hold on. I'm just looking for... Here we are. Perversion of Justice.
Preface in September. Wall Street.
Yes, Perversion of Justice just finished, apparently, last night. All legal. So I should be able to refresh, and there it is. Perversion of Justice. Perfect. Now let me just check my Windows computer, which should also have a completed one. Yes, it does. Beautiful. All right. Now refresh. Oh, this one isn't showing up. I guess I have to give it a minute to transfer, but this one is called Black Sun, The History of Aryan Cults. That one is on its way. Hitler Redux is TTSing right now. Let me just add some other books to TTS real fast. Audiobook producer. Black Sun, Aryan Cults is finished. Is it listed here yet? No. The Balkans, Nationalism, War, and the Great Powers by Misha Glenny. I haven't read this yet, but it's 34 hours long, and it's supposedly very, very comprehensive. Not very good. Boring is sin, actually, but very comprehensive. And you'll know so fucking much about the Balkans after you read that. Perversion of Justice is complete. Here we are. Refresh. Hitler Redux. Authoritarianism. How Democracies Die. All right, I haven't gotten this one, so let me convert this one. Add to queue. Why Trump isn't a fascist. Actually, I'm going to add this one to the queue and maybe we'll listen to it. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what we'll do. Hold on. Convert. Wow. You know, come to think of it, I'm actually surprised and impressed that my computer is capable of both streaming and processing a book at the same time. And I don't seem to be having any trouble with it at all. Interesting. All right, Q. I'm going to put why Trump isn't a fascist at top. Start. And it should process. It's pretty short, and I would like to listen to it. All right, let's continue.
They had received $1.9 million. Yet
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking up why. Hang on. Okay, here's the story on the misspelled sign. The manager of the Quality Learning Center, Ibrahim Ali, directly addressed it. He blamed the misspelling on the person they hired to make and install the sign, saying they paid someone to do the design. I'm sorry, saying they paid someone to do the sign, and that person incorrectly spelled it. He said they'd already paid the installer to correct it and expected it to be fixed by the end of that week. And indeed, Fox News photographed several individuals correcting the misspelled sign late on Monday night, December 29th, 2025. Interestingly, the New York Post noted that even after the main sign was corrected, the center's street address on the transom beneath the sign was still misspelled Nicolette instead of Nicollet, Nicolette. So the explanation is pretty mundane. They outsourced the sign to someone who made a typo, and it just hadn't been corrected yet. The bottom line. All right? Let's keep listening. But I have to go grab something real fast. I'm going to let it play for just a minute, and I'm going to put a marker in so we can come back to this. Current position. All right, cool. I'll be back in 1 minute.
with that $1.9 million, they could not even spell leering right on their sign. Governor Walz has said he's been fighting fraud in Minnesota since 2019 and said the buck stops with him. However, how long would it take for you to notice $1 million leaving your bank account and not knowing where it's going? That's essentially what had been happening in Minnesota for years, as billions of dollars has been misplaced. And meanwhile, while people like Governor Tim Walz call people like me a white supremacist, delusional conspiracy theorist, he actually decided to drop out of re-election because I believe of how deep and extensive this fraud is. Thank you very much. Since my reporting, the HHS department froze over $185 million, and to this day, not a single business has been able to prove proof of legitimacy. How fast would you be proving that you are a legitimate business if you have children to actually feed and to take care of? You'd be sending in that paperwork instantly. I made this video to document the widespread fraud that has been taking place, as I truly believe all fraud is bad. And people like me, my generation, we're sick of seeing tax dollars go towards fraud. We just want to have the same opportunities that our fathers and our grandparents had. And when you see people making millions of dollars by committing fraud, it upsets everybody from all age demographics. And so I hope today we can have a good conversation, and I think we can all agree that fraud is bad and that fraud is fraud. And I wish the best for our country, and I think that's what needs to be happening, is to crack down on all forms of fraud. So thank you for having me, and God bless the USA.
Thank you, Mr. Shirley. And now I recognize Ms. Larson for your 5-minute opening statement.
Chairman, ranking member, and members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak today on this issue. My name is Jennifer Larson. I'm the founder and CEO of Holland Center in Minnesota. I've been an autism provider for over 20 years and started the organization for my son. I built Holland Center because families with children like mine were desperate for help, desperate for services and stability, desperate for somewhere they could trust their child would be supported and helped, not sent home on a bad day, not babysat in a classroom and forgotten. We serve the children that don't succeed in public school settings. What started as a small program grew over 2 decades into 4 locations that families rely on, not just for therapy, but for hope, routine, and survival. This work is a labor of love for me. Just like me, there are providers all over the state laboring with love to help these children. And this week, Holland and other programs all over Minnesota are collapsing. Not because we committed fraud, but because a crime ring was allowed to operate inside Minnesota's service system, and the government's clumsy response is now destroying legitimate, long-standing providers and devastating families that we serve. Families come to Holland, they do not have a backstop. Their children often receive 30 or more hours of therapy a week. These are not an extravagance, these are medically necessary. These children learn to communicate, regulate their emotions, reduce dangerous behaviors, and function in daily life. For many parents, therapy determines if they can work. Consistent staff and therapy prevents severe behaviors and regression. Structured care keeps children and their siblings safe. When services disappear, families do not just simply adjust, they face a crisis. For more than 2 decades, Holland has served hundreds of children year after year, employed hundreds of clinicians and staff, operated under yearly on-site audits, inspections, and documentation oversight, delivered real services to real children every day. We have always complied with everything the system required. Yet, within the last month, the state has withheld over $400,000 in Medicaid funds for my own program, and that number grows every single day. I had to infuse my personal funds to survive these weeks, but can't do that any longer without payment. Let me be clear, we are a fee-for-service industry. When we can't pay our staff, we lose our staff and children lose care. Families do not lose appointments, they lose the people they trust. What happened in Minnesota had nothing to do with the ethical, long-standing autism providers. What did happen was organized criminal networks that exploited autism services by opening fake centers, billing for children that did not exist, billing for services never delivered, and stealing millions of taxpayer dollars in the process. These are not minor compliance issues. They are criminal enterprises. Families trusted that the government was protecting the integrity of the system. It failed. Now, instead of doing the obvious thing and targeting criminal actors, the response has been to freeze everyone's payments. That decision does not punish the criminals. It punishes innocent children and families. As Medicaid payments are delayed due to prepayment review by an insurance company that is in the business of denying claims, providers are reducing hours, cutting staff, and starting to close. Families are scrambling for alternatives that don't exist, children are regressing, parents are leaving jobs to care for their disabled children. Autism therapy cannot be paused without consequences. Loss of services can erase years of progress in weeks, and abrupt disruption of services can cause lifelong consequences in these children. This is not abstract harm. It is daily trauma for families already carrying an extraordinary burden. The simple solution to the problem: send the criminals to jail and allow trusted providers with decades of clean audits, verified ownership structures to continue providing prescribed ethical therapy, and go back to paying them what we've earned and resume paying them on time. I built Holland for 20 years. Families built their lives around the care that we provide. All of that is risk of destruction today, not by fraud, but by clumsy government response that failed to distinguish between criminals and caregivers. It treats children with disabilities.
The gentlelady will suspend. We've got a photographer there. We allow photographers in here, but not between the panel of the witnesses and the members. You will please move.
Okay.
Photographer, please move.
Thank you.
Like right now.
Okay. Sorry.
Well,
all of that is at the risk of destruction. Sorry, can I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
Not by fraud, but the clumsy government response that fails to distinguish between criminals and caregivers. It treats children with disabilities as acceptable collateral damage. Fraud must be stopped and criminals prosecuted. I'm a taxpayer. I live in Minnesota. This is disgusting. But families and children should never pay the price for government failure. Thank you.
We will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Tiffany, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Besides the work Mr. Shirley has done, I want to recognize Powerline, who has done yeoman's work exposing this over the last decade, what has happened. And I just want to say, Ms. Larson, I live in northern Wisconsin. There's an autism school that was started in my community. Where did we visit when we wanted to start that a decade ago? We came to Minnesota, where you have been leaders in having good autism programs. And I think about the tremendous fraud that has gone on in nutrition programs, housing programs, but is there anything more heinous than abusing an autism program?
I can't imagine. It's so hard to believe that people are faking the children have autism and stealing money from the government. When I'm sitting here with my 25-year-old non-speaker, and now children like my son aren't going to have services because they stole money from the government and faked these things. And it's just, it is, like I said, disgusting.
With what's going on right now, what are the families that you're serving, what are they saying?
They're scared.
What are they doing?
Everybody's scared. There are centers that are programs that have already shut down. Staff are leaving. I, this week, asked my staff who will take unpaid leave because we can't keep going like this. I'm like I said, I'm $400,000 plus in debt now, and I'm not sure these are going to get paid back. I went to a bank and they wouldn't back the receivable because they said that's not a receivable. If it's prepayment review, you may not get it.
And Ms. Larson, none of this would have happened if the fraud did not occur. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Dexter, could have something been done about this earlier?
Yes. As I stated in my opening testimony, in the years that I worked there, we identified how fraud was occurring, the loopholes that existed, and we.
What were some of the warning signs, Mr. Dexter?
Well, the fact that part of our job was to go and collect attendance records. We would find attendance records that were either incomplete, non-existent. Obviously, there were times we found them to be fabricated because they were given to us way later, and the same with billing records. They were allowed 30 days after the end of the billing period to submit billing records, so they were not immediately available to us, and it kind of allowed overpayments or double payments to be overlooked. So we had the attendance record issue. We had the fact that there was no way to verify who was signing the children in and out, no way to verify what times those children were signed in and out.
Could I do a follow-up here? In Wisconsin, we learned this month that Ibrahima Diop, a Minneapolis school finance boss, placed on leave for failing to submit required financial paperwork with the Minneapolis School District and for signing questionable contracts linked to the Somali fraud scandal, was hired by the Milwaukee Public School System as a deputy super.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. It is hot as the dickens up in this piece. I had to go around and turn off all the heaters because it's starting to get warmer outside. And I just turned this one off, or turned this one down. Okay. Let's see here. Markers. 40, 48 to 51. All right, here we go. Is it worth the watch?
With that $1.9 million, they could not even spell Leering right on their sign.
Of course, it was a sign company that made it, not them.
Governor Walz has said he's been fighting fraud in Minnesota since 2019 and said the buck stops with him. However, how long would it take for you to notice $1 million leaving your bank account? And
I mean, he knew that it was leaving Minnesota's bank account and that it was approved to leave Minnesota's bank account, obviously. And everything looked legal, like it all looked 100% legal. But they looked into, not the daycares, those are legal. He looked into the Food for Children program or whatever it was and discovered that they were defrauding Minnesota. So he charged them all, or had them all charged with the crime. They went to prison. Case closed.
Not knowing where it's going. That's essentially what had been happening in Minnesota for years.
No, that's not true.
billions of dollars has been misplaced. And meanwhile, while people like...
It wasn't billions. I think it was $250 million total that were taken, and they keep inflating the number. Now it's like 9 billion in their mind or whatever. It's nonsense.
For years, as billions of dollars has been misplaced. And meanwhile, while people like Governor Tim Walz call people like me a white supremacist, delusional conspiracy theorist.
Okay, I don't think anybody called you a white supremacist for releasing this, but he is a delusional conspiracy theorist. None of the shit that he claimed was true.
He actually decided to drop out of re-election because I believe of how deep and extensive this fraud is. Thank you very much. Since my reporting, the HHS department froze over $185 million, and to this day, not a single business has been able to prove proof of legitimacy.
It's not true. That's a lie. He made that up completely. They did prove legitimacy by showing the CCTV footage of the children walking in while Nick Shirley stood there.
How fast would you be proving that you are a legitimate business if you have children to actually feed and to take care of? You'd be sending in that paperwork instantly. I made this video to document the widespread fraud that has been taking place, as I truly believe all fraud is bad. And people like me, my generation, we're sick of seeing tax dollars go towards fraud. We just want to have the same opportunities that our fathers and our grandparents had. And when you see people making millions of dollars by committing fraud, it upsets everybody from all age demographics.
Okay, undocumented, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Immigrants getting some kind of assistance of some sort is not fraud. People are allowed to get assistance. That's why we have a social safety net in the first fucking place. This dude is such a scumbag, seriously. What's up? Hold on 1 second. Hang on. Okay, let's continue. Just had to grab something there.
And so I hope today we can have a good conversation, and I think we can all agree that fraud is bad, and that fraud is fraud, and I wish the best.
What else would fraud be, if not fraud?
For our country, and I think that's what needs to be happening, is to crack down on all forms of fraud. So thank you for having me, and God bless the USA.
Okay, great. Well, if we're cracking down on fraud, does that mean lying to the American public and convincing them that there's some issue going on that's not actually happening? Would you consider that fraud? Or I would consider it maybe defrauding the American people by lying to them, convincing them that they have to get worked up into a blood frenzy over something that they don't need to actually get worked up over because it's not real.
Thank you, Mr. Shirley. And now I recognize Ms. Larson for your 5-minute opening statement.
Chairman, Ranking Member, and members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak today on this issue. My name is Jennifer Larson. I'm the founder and CEO of Holland Center in Minnesota. I've been an autism provider for over 20 years and started the organization for my son. I built Holland Center because families with children like mine were desperate for help.
So is she like the owner of one of the places that he claimed were defrauded, or I don't understand yet?
Desperate for services and stability, desperate for somewhere they could trust their child would be supported and helped, not sent home on a bad day, not babysat in a classroom and forgotten. We serve the children that don't succeed in public school settings. What started as a small program grew over 2 decades into 4 locations that families rely on, not just for therapy, but for hope, routine, and survival. This work is a labor of love for me. Just like me, there are providers all over the state laboring with love to help these children. And this week, Holland and other programs all over Minnesota are collapsing. not because we committed fraud, but because a crime ring was allowed to operate inside Minnesota's service system.
Nope, she's a nutcase.
And the government's clumsy response is now destroying legitimate, long-standing providers and devastating families that we serve. Families come to Holland, they do not have a backstop. Their children often receive 30 or more hours of therapy a week. These are not an extravagance, these are medically necessary. These children learn to communicate, regulate their emotions, reduce dangerous behaviors, and function in daily life. For many parents, therapy determines if they can work. Consistent staff and therapy prevents severe behaviors and regression. Structured care keeps children and their siblings safe.
They're sublings, huh? Is that the new name for children? Sublings? They're below you? Is that what you're saying?
When services disappear, families do not just simply adjust. They face a crisis. For more than 2 decades, Holland has served hundreds of children year after year, employed hundreds of clinicians and staff, operated under yearly on-site audits, inspections, and documentation oversight, delivered real services to real children.
Yeah, maybe she is legit. I can't tell yet. It sounds like she keeps kind of saying things that make me think that she's legit and not like completely full of shit.
Every day. We have always complied with everything the system required. Yet, within the last month, the state has withheld over $400,000 in Medicaid funds for my own program, and that number grows every single day. I had to infuse my personal funds to survive these weeks, but can't do that any longer without payment. Let me be clear, we are a fee-for-service industry. When we can't pay our staff, we lose our staff and children lose care. Families do not lose appointments, they lose the people they trust. What happened in Minnesota had nothing to do with the ethical, long-standing autism providers. What did happen was organized criminal networks that exploited autism services by opening fake centers, billing for children that did not exist, billing for services never delivered, and stealing millions of taxpayer dollars in the process. These are not minor compliance issues.
Okay, so this whole thing was fabricated by Nick Shirley, and that was made obvious by the fact that CCTV footage was released. Oh no, I just died. I didn't have time to, wow, that sucks. How good is their retry system? I think it's pretty good. And that was made obvious by the fact that CCTV footage was released showing Nick Shirley standing outside a daycare center while children went inside. So he knowingly, intentionally lied in his documentary.
They are criminal enterprises. Families trusted that the government was protecting the integrity of the system. It failed. Now, instead of doing the obvious thing and targeting criminal actors, the response has been to freeze everyone's payments. That decision does not punish the criminals. It punishes innocent children and families. As Medicaid payments are delayed due to prepayment review by an insurance company that is in the business of denying claims, providers are reducing hours, cutting staff, and starting to close. Families are scrambling for alternatives that don't exist. Children are regressing. Parents are leaving jobs to care for their disabled children. Autism therapy cannot be paused without consequences.
Right. So I guess she's one of the people who was who lost funding because of Nick Shirley. I see. That makes sense.
Loss of services can erase years of progress in weeks, and abrupt disruption of services can cause lifelong consequences in these children. This is not abstract harm. It is daily trauma for families already carrying an extraordinary burden. The simple solution to the problem: send the criminals to jail and allow trusted providers with decades of clean audits, verified ownership structures to continue providing prescribed ethical therapy, and go back to paying them what we've earned and resume paying them on time. I built Holland for 20 years. Families built their lives.
Damn, she's crying.
Around the care that we provide. All of that is risk of destruction today, not by fraud, but by clumsy government response that failed to distinguish between criminals and caregivers. It treats children with disabilities.
The gentlelady will suspend. We've got a photographer there. We allow photographers in here, but not between the panel of the witnesses and the members. You will please move.
Okay.
Photographer, please move.
Thank you.
Like right now.
Okay. Sorry. All of that is at the risk of destruction. Sorry, can I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
Not by fraud, but the clumsy government response that fails to distinguish between criminals and caregivers. It treats children with disabilities as acceptable collateral damage. Fraud must be stopped and criminals prosecuted. I'm a taxpayer. I live in Minnesota. This is disgusting. But families and children should never pay the price for government failure. Thank you.
We will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Tiffany, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Besides the work Mr. Shirley has done, I want to recognize Powerline, who has done yeoman's work exposing this over the last decade, what has happened. And I just want to say, Ms. Larson, I live in northern Wisconsin. There's an autism school that was started in my community. Where did we visit when we wanted to start that a decade ago? We came to Minnesota, where you have been leaders in having good autism programs. And I think about the tremendous fraud that has gone on in nutrition programs, housing programs, but is there anything more heinous than abusing an autism program?
Again, nobody was abusing an autism program. This is a fictitious complaint that he's created here. This is not happening.
I can't imagine. It's
She's feeding into it. This is probably a sound strategy to feed into it here, to give it some legitimacy, because if you don't, then everyone's going to think you're in on it or whatever. But it's ridiculous. There's no evidence that any of this is real. Any of it.
It's so hard to believe that people are faking that children have autism and stealing money from the government. When I'm sitting here,
It's hard to believe because it's not real.
with my 25-year-old non-speaker, and now children like my son aren't going to have services because they stole money from the government and faked these things. And it's just, it is, like I said, disgusting.
With what's going on right now, what are the families that you're serving? What are they saying?
They're scared.
What are they doing?
Everybody's scared. There are centers that are programs that have already shut down. Staff are leaving. I, this week, asked my staff who will take unpaid leave because we can't keep going like this. I'm like I said, I'm $400,000 plus in debt now, and I'm not sure these are going to get paid back. I went to a bank and they wouldn't back the receivable because they said that's not a receivable. If it's prepayment review, you may not get it.
And Ms. Larson, none of this would have happened if the fraud did not occur. Is that
Oh my God, dude, please.
accurate?
Yes.
The fraud didn't occur. It's fake. Jesus fucking Christ. It's like, I feel like she has no choice but to feed into this. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt and assuming that she doesn't actually believe any of this shit.
Mr. Dexter, could have something been done about this earlier?
Yes. As I stated in my opening testimony.
Like, why does this guy have sunglasses on indoors during a congressional hearing?
In the years that I worked there, we identified how fraud was occurring, the loopholes that existed, and we.
What were some of the warning signs, Mr. Dexter?
Well, the fact that part of our job was to go and collect attendance records. We would find attendance records that were either incomplete, non-existent. Obviously, there were times we found them to be fabricated because they were given to us way later. And
Wait, so they got them to you later, and that's evidence they're fabricated? You know there's a way to check attendance records, right? And verify that they're real by just, like, checking the names on the list. But this guy isn't a government employee. He has no additional extra information or anything. He's a lying sack of shit. If I believe that this is that David dude who claimed to have been investigating it all this time when he had no fucking clue what was going on. He was just lying for attention.
And the same with billing records. They were allowed 30 days after the end of the billing period to submit billing records. So they were not immediately available to us. And it kind of allowed overpayments or double payments to be overlooked.
Great. So you have evidence then, right? Do you know what their evidence is in all seriousness? The sign. Quality Leering Center is what it said. The sign had a typo on it. That's the evidence that there was some kind of, what's the word? That there was some kind of fraud happening.
So we had the attendance record issue. We had
but that wasn't an issue.
The fact that there was no way to verify who was signing the children in and out, no way to verify what times those children were signed in and out.
Could I do a follow-up here?
All right, let's see. Let's find out. Hold on. What's this guy's name? He's a Nick Shirley. He's a friend of Nick Shirley, I believe. Let's see. See if we can find out who this is. Hold on. Here. Hedler Gaudet. Let's see if I can find some info on this dude. Hedler Gaudet. Hedler. What a name. Oh, he is blind. Oh, shit. Now I feel bad. Damn. I shouldn't have been ripping his ass over the glasses this whole time. Okay, disregard. Cut that whole glasses bit. I thought he was just some asshole wearing glasses because he thought he was cool and he was a friend of Nick Shirley.
In Wisconsin, we learned this month that Ibrahimia Diop, a Minneapolis school finance boss, placed on...
School finance boss? Why are you using the word boss there? You mean administrator?
That Ibrahimia Diop, a Minneapolis school finance boss, placed on leave for failing to submit required financial paperwork with the Minneapolis School District and for signing questionable contracts linked to the Somali fraud scandal, was hired by the Milwaukee Public School System as a deputy superintendent at a salary of $240,000 a year. Do you think it wise? Might that be a warning sign that this person was involved?
Well, did they know that there was some involvement? Were they aware? I mean, he's an administrator, right? So...
may have been involved with fraud in Minneapolis. Shouldn't they be concerned in Wisconsin that that they're hiring someone like that?
Well, if somebody that they hire has a past history and practice of doing that type of stuff, I would be very leery of it occurring again or that being the basis that they're hired.
So Governor Evers refused to open the books and is blocking federal audits of our food stamp and Medicaid programs.
Yeah, because the feds are harassing people that they don't like. Why aren't they auditing food stamp programs for Texas or Montana? They're doing it to blue states and blue states only because they want to harass them.
And he also vetoed 4 auditor positions in a recent budget. Do you think that is also a warning sign?
Yes, if it's preventing...
Or ill-advised, would that be a better way to pose the question?
Yeah, if it prevents the oversight and...
This is just a big stroke fest. Like, they're just agreeing with each other. They're asking questions as softballs to line each other up. This is insufferable, dude.
The ability to audit and look at the records to make sure can have a check and balance system, I think that'd be very unwise because, again, that allows fraud to occur.
Because, Mr. Shirley, what is happening in Minnesota...
Like, Minnesota is a sovereign state and can do their own audits and have, and caught fraud as a result and sent those people to prison for it. We don't need the federal government getting in state business. What happened to all these states' rights people? Where did they go? They evaporated into thin air. All of a sudden, everybody is pro-federal government when it can hurt their political enemies. There's no consistency to be found among these people. No principle anywhere.
It could be happening throughout the United States. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
If there's one thing we've learned, or leered, as they say in Minneapolis.
Oh, that was so fun. Leered. Oh.
Isn't it possible that this is happening everywhere?
Yes, I believe it is.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Well, I would love a little bit of evidence of that.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize the ranking member of the whole committee, Mr. Raskin, for his 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank all the witnesses for your excellent testimony. Mr. Hedler-Gaudet, the administration has systematically undermined government oversight. The president has fired more than a dozen inspectors general, not for any cause, but seemingly just in retaliation for doing their jobs.
Yes, inspectors general, if you didn't know, I didn't know this. Inspectors general are the people who investigate fraud. That's the anti-fraud department, or the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's the anti-fraud police. Why did he shut that down? Why did they fire all of those inspectors general? Because they don't give a fuck about fraud. They never did. This is about political scapegoating and political attention, trying to win points. That's it.
And to block unwanted investigations. President Trump has defunded the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. He's removed independent leadership at the Office of Special Counsel and Office of Government Ethics, blockading whistleblowers and numerous investigations. What is your assessment, Mr. Hedler-Gaudet, of the Trump administration's apparent systematic opposition to internal oversight mechanisms in the federal government?
Thank you, Ranking Member Raskin.
Oh, he took the sunglasses off. Why? Why did he take the sunglasses off? That's unusual.
My assessment is that the last year or so has been one of the most anti-oversight, anti-accountability periods that I've witnessed in our federal government. And I think the things you laid out, as well as others, are the sort of proof in the pudding there. And I think, speaking of things that should be giving us pause and raising red flags, that should all be giving us serious pause and raising serious red flags about how seriously people who claim to take oversight, accountability, fraud, how seriously do they actually take it?
There's been a lot of attention given to Donald Trump's extraordinary use of the pardon power, as in the pardon of violent insurrectionists and cop beaters. But there's also been a forgiveness of $1.5 billion in restitutionary fines that various people had to pay. And a lot of them are fraudsters. The DOJ in Trump's first term brought bank fraud and tax evasion charges against reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley. They were convicted in 2022. They owed more than $22 million in restitution to taxpayers and to their victims. But then Trump suddenly, inexplicably pardoned them and forgave all of the money that they were supposed to be paying back to their victims. Todd Chrisley bragged publicly about his get-out-of-jail-free card, jubilantly exclaiming, "The feds got effed." Let me give you one other example. Trump, on April 23rd, issued a pardon for Paul Walchuk, a former nursing home exec who pleaded guilty to multiple tax crimes. What he was doing was taking millions of dollars from the nurses and orderlies and doctors who worked for him at his facilities, took more than $10 million that way, instead of giving it to the IRS for their taxes. He used the money to buy a $2 million yacht and to pay for high-end jet travel and to go shopping at Bergdorf Goodman and Cartier. Well, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison for stealing his employees' tax withholdings, and he was ordered to pay his employees back $4.4 million for the money he looted from their accounts. So he's going to have to pay that back. But then he got his mom to go to a glitzy fundraising dinner for Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and she paid $1 million for her ticket. Then, right after Trump was inaugurated in his second term, Walchuk petitioned for a presidential pardon, arguing that he was the victim of political retaliation because they were Trump supporters. And what do you know? President Trump issued a complete pardon with forgiveness of all of the financial fines. and restitution that Mr. Walchuk was going to have to pay back to his workers, the nurses and doctors and orderlies. So that was forgiven. That was $4 million taken away from the victims of a fraud and given back to the perpetrator of the fraud. Okay, now, if we had all day, we could go on all day with this because that's how their pay-to-play pardon system works. What does this do to our efforts to root out fraud and corruption systematically in the government and in crimes in different industries?
Good point. Donald Trump is one of the most corrupt, I'm going to say the most corrupt president. I know that's a tall claim, and I'm willing to be corrected on that, but I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had in U.S. history. Again, I'm not a historian, so willing to be corrected, but he's a monster. Like, he has done untold amounts of damage to society, to the United States. He's stolen who knows how much money from the United States. And they're worried about a single case that was already resolved, like, forever ago. And now they're fabricating cases of fraud that did not happen, that are not real, and that they know aren't real and did not happen.
I think it provides a perverse incentive structure. I opened my statement by saying that we all have an obligation and a responsibility to do what we can to prevent fraud and to hold perpetrators of fraud accountable. But that last bit, holding a perpetrator of fraud accountable, perhaps via conviction, doesn't mean much if all one needs to do is contribute to the right Uber PAC or attend the right fundraiser, and suddenly that accountability and that conviction is wiped away, including the financial restitution you mentioned. So those kinds of actions are at direct cross purposes with any effort to promote a broader, more systemic approach to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you very much, and I yield back.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dexter, let me make sure we got this right.
Dexter is that scumbag that worked with Nick Shirley, if I'm not mistaken.
You get tips and complaints, whistleblowers or others come to you and tell you something's not right at these child care centers in your state.
Oh my God, Jim Jordan is a fucking monster and a pedophile protector as well.
That are getting all kinds of taxpayer monies. Is that right? That's how it started?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you go and do your work. And you got 28 years experience investigating things, and specifically in the crime and financial fraud area. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you go out and find out these child care centers, there aren't any kids.
That they didn't find that out. That's a lie. There were kids. They were even there when Dexter and what's his name was there, Nick Shirley. They were present when they were present. They saw them walking in. This is just a bald-faced lie.
No kids are there. I mean, there's some, but there's like, you don't see the playground. You don't see any kids at a place where they're supposed to be helping children. And then you also find out most of them are run by Somali individuals. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
I mean, there's a large Somali community there in Minnesota. So it would make sense that there are some daycares that are also run by Somalis, obviously.
And then you make some recommendations. You said, here's what we should do. I think you put this on page 2 of your testimony. You said there's some basic things you should do. No, you said they didn't have biometric attendance system. They should do that. They should have electronic submission requirements.
Oh, okay, great, yes. And you want a list of all of the people coming and going? Is that what you're saying? And you want their biometrics? All these immigrant communities, you want a list of their children, of who they are and where they're going and where they're from and everything? Is that what you're saying? Not for nothing, but in Germany in the 30s, the administration actually required Jews to put their names on lists as well. Lists of property owners. You have to declare property if you're Jewish and you have more than $5,000 worth of property, basically, or 5,000 Reichsmarks or whatever, if I remember. And they used that list a little bit down the line to persecute them, to track them down, take their stuff, send them to concentration camps. I don't think making lists of vulnerable communities that are being targeted right now is a good idea. And he knows that.
They need security cameras. You made some recommendations.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Nothing.
They ignored your recommendations, but it didn't stop there, did it?
Why do you have a right to their personal data, their biometrics?
They ignored your recommendations. They called you a racist, right?
Correct.
Typical left. I always say the left will.
Wait, who called him a racist? Who said he's racist for any of this? What he did made racism worse in the country, certainly. But who the fuck is calling him a racist? Where was that even brought into the conversation outside of Jim Jordan?
The left will tell a lie. Big media will report it. You tell the truth. They call you racist. Exactly what happened here.
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now?
So they ignore your recommendations. They call you a racist. But it even got worse than that. If you can imagine. They started investigating you. Is that right?
Yes, we were.
Who the fuck is investigating him? Come on, man. And for what? I'm not sure. Maybe there is something legitimate to investigate him over. I don't know.
We were interviewed by a outside firm for a report given to the Office of Legislative Auditor.
What did that report look like? What did they say? They call you a racist? What did the report say?
The report basically questioned our investigative tactics, looked at how our unit was managed.
Even though you had 28 years experience in this particular area.
What, suddenly being around for a while exempts you from investigation? So let me guess, he only went to the daycares that are 6 months old. Is that right? Am I close? No? Did he go to all of the daycares and harass them?
Tips and whistleblowers came to you, even though that was the whole catalyst for doing this.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And the end result is what? The end result is Miss Larson, who's actually helping people, she
Correct.
suffers and the people she helps suffers. Is that right, Miss Larson?
She sounds like a grifter who was hurt by this, to me. That's what it sounds like to me.
Not to mention the fact that taxpayers are getting ripped off, but the people who do good work, who actually help people, you suffered.
The disabled are paying for the money stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a grifter.
And why do you think all this is the case? So, I mean, all this brings me to seems to be a typical pattern, but in the end, you got to ask why. Why was, when you point out what's going on, you have good people doing good work who suffer, the taxpayers are getting ripped off, someone's got to ask, well, why did they take not follow your recommendations, call you a racist,
Nobody called him a racist, like, seriously. I could absolutely justify the claim that he's a racist, for sure, by pointing out that this is directly leading to harm. He's targeting racial communities based on racial lines. But I didn't even, bring that up. Nobody brought that up. Where did this even come from? He's just, making this shit up completely.
Investigate you instead of just fixing the problem. Why'd they do that? What could be the answer? Anyone want to hazard Mr. Shirley, you want to hazard a guess why that's the case?
Well, they simply use that as a deflection technique to make you not want to speak out against the fraud.
Give it a fucking rest. Now it's not just fraud being committed by, these communities. Now the government is in on it. In fact, not just the government, but the whole left-wing end of the spectrum, of the political spectrum. The whole left is in on the fraud.
Yeah, it seems to me it's politics, though. You think it's politics, Mr. Dexter?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the people at the top well, we don't want to do this. We don't want to be called racist. In fact, we found that out a week ago in a hearing where we were looking at this.
Bro, if you don't want to be called racist, then don't be fucking racist.
Feeding Our Future program. We found out they actually shut that program off for a while. They said, time out, something's not right here. They found the same kind of things you found, Mr. Dexter.
Right, mice, yeah. I'll find a way to fit that in. Give it some time.
And they said, we're going to stop payment, and then it restarted. And the reason it restarted is because they threatened a racial discrimination lawsuit against the authorities there in Minnesota. So, okay, forget about the fact that when we do this, we restart the money, we're going to hurt good people like Ms. Larson and the people she helps and rip off the taxpayers. We're going to do it all for.
So why is it that they don't suspect Ms. Larson of anything? Why is that? Why is it only the black people that they think are causing problems? Is there something different about Ms. Larson that is like not the same as the other people in this case that could make them think that she's more trustworthy?
For politics.
Like maybe something to do with like her hair color, skin color, something?
And we also found, interestingly enough, the Attorney General in Minnesota had a meeting with the key folks in this particular program, and then they find out a couple weeks later they start sending him campaign contributions. I think it's politics.
Oh, please.
I think it's politics driving it all. And that's why it's appropriate we're investigating here at the congressional level. That's why it's appropriate the Department of Justice has put in place a specific individual to focus on this, not only in Minnesota, but around the country.
These people are such showboaters.
I talk too much. Anyone else want to throw in? I'll give you, Mr. Shirley, Ms. Larson, a chance to say anything if you want. If not, I'll yield 28 seconds to our chairman. I yield 20 seconds, remaining my time to the chairman.
Thank you. So, Mr. Hedler-Godet, would it surprise you that Joe Biden issued pardons to someone named Crundell, who had the largest municipal fraud in the country's history, and had a restitution amount of $53.7 million that was never paid following the commutation? Would that surprise you, sir?
I mean, Biden and every other president definitely issue pardons. The pardons are a part of the presidential power. They have been since day one. But Donald Trump pardoned a fraudster after receiving $1 million from his wife. Somebody who is unequivocally and beyond question defrauded people and stole millions of dollars. Pardon is supposed to be a check on a rogue judiciary. It's supposed to be one of those things where the government can step in and make things right morally. What is right morally about allowing somebody to get away with stealing $20 million from people? I don't understand. Now, some people, they feel that they've paid their price to society. They paid their debt or whatever, and they commute sentences or whatever. That happens all the time. And I have no problem with that. But it's absolutely being abused by Donald Trump. And if you think it's not, then you're fucking blind.
That would not surprise me. And actually, in my written statement, I outline how pardons under the last administration, the Biden administration, they also fall into the same pattern of pardoning convicted fraudsters. So,
yeah, but not because he was paid to, because he believed it was the moral thing to do. They're different. Maybe he was wrong there, but Donald Trump is doing it because he's paid to pardon people.
I'm in agreement with you there.
Yeah, thank you. And
one good thing about Donald Trump's sheer, unadulterated incompetence? He's going to try to cover his tracks, but he's going to fail miserably because he's so goddamn fucking stupid. Because he's so bad at what he does consistently. He's going to fail. And when somebody else gets into power, we are absolutely going to unravel everything that he did. No more looking forward instead of back. No more. We're looking backward because this is going to keep happening until we start looking backward.
Without objection, that time's expired, so without objection, Mr. Klein will be permitted to participate in today's hearing for the purpose of questioning the witness if a member yields him time for that purpose. And now we're going to go to Mr. Moore from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All this talk about pardons and the ultimate shyster, one of them was Hunter Biden. He got pardoned after.
I'll give it a fucking rest. No, what are you even complaining about with Hunter Biden? What did he think Hunter Biden did that deserved jail time anyway? It was some stupid thing about he put on a form that he wasn't using drugs when in reality we found out that he was or something. Like, who gives a fuck? It's such a ridiculous charge in the first place. It was clearly politically motivated. But you know what? Charge him. Charge all of them. Every last one of them, if that's what you want. Problem is, you are bitching about Hunter Biden not being charged while trying to protect people who deserve to be charged. If you charge Donald Trump, if you charge all of these scumbags and erase these, these crooked pardons, I will be okay with Hunter Biden being charged as well. Fuck it. Let's charge all of them.
Joe promised he wasn't going to do that on the way out. So,
well, Joe Biden had given up on democracy and knew that Donald Trump was going to come after people. And I knew that too. Everybody knew that.
Anyway, that's another pardon for another day. Ms. Larson, I'm impressed with your son. I honestly thought he was your attorney when you guys were sitting there. But were there early warning signs, if acted on, that could have prevented the fraud schemes from growing to the scale that we see now?
I'm sorry. What did that statement even mean? I thought he was your attorney. I thought he was way smarter than he actually was. Wow, what a compliment. I thought he was smarter than he was. Good job.
I'd say yes. Looking back, the Somali community in Minnesota has a high prevalence of autism, and I know that because I serve a lot of minorities in my centers.
Okay, I'm sorry. I doubt it. The Somali has that sounds like a dig at them. They're not as intelligent as white people, is what that sounds like. Okay, it looks like, hold on. According to PubMed and the Minnesota Department of Health, there is a higher rate of autism in the Somali communities. That's interesting. I wonder why. Overall autism rate was about 1 in 53 among 4-year-olds in Minneapolis, but among Somali 4-year-olds, it was 1 in 16. Wow, that's much higher. An earlier University of Minnesota study looking at ages 7 to 9 found Somali children, 1 in 32, and white children, 1 in 36, were about equally likely to be identified with autism spectrum disorders, but more likely than Black and Hispanic children, and that Somali children with ASD were significantly more likely to have an intellectual disability than children with ASD and all other racial and ethnic groups. I believe that the reason for that, if I'm not mistaken, is worse. It's the same reason why North Koreans are shorter than South Koreans on average. They're the same group of people, but one group has better access to food and resources than the other. That would be my guess, but we'd have to look at studies to find out exactly what the cause was. See if I can find an answer to this. Nobody has definitively figured it out yet, but there are several hypotheses. Vitamin D deficiency is probably the most discussed hypothesis. The immigration or environmental change angle. There's also a diagnostic access question, whether part of what's being observed is that Somali children in the U.S. and Sweden are actually getting screened and diagnosed in ways they never would have been in Somalia, where parents sought diagnosis and treatment from outside Somalia due to the lack of experience among health providers in diagnosing and treating autism. That said, the rates being higher than other groups is in the same cities suggests it's not purely a matter of increased access to diagnosis. That's interesting.
So when these centers started popping up, I thought, good for them. You know, like I took care of my son. We have had a waiting list for 5 years, so I thought it was a positive. And then it just started to go and go, where now it's, 400 plus of these. And it started, I didn't Nick Shirley it, that's a verb now. And go out and go see, because obviously I'm busy and that's not what I have time for. But, I think there were a lot of early warning signs. I think if anybody was actually paying attention.
They would have caught it.
Oh, 100%.
Because how long have you been in business? 20 years, is it?
Over 20 years.
And you went through a number of audits, I think, every year, right?
Every year.
So how is it that these groups are getting away with it, and you're under the thumb of the government auditing you every year? Why do you think that is?
Either there's a double standard and.
No, I think she's probably getting audited every year because she chooses to. The SSA does the same thing. They choose to be audited every year. They hire a company to do it because they think it's the right thing to do. They hire a company to do the audits, and they turn in all their receipts and all of their everythings. It's an intense process because they believe that nonprofits should be audited every year, Anyway. She's probably doing it because she's choosing to, not because she's being randomly picked for this or whatever.
They don't, for whatever reason, have the same expectations that we do.
Oh, bullshit, dude. Come on.
Or they're just looking.
Maybe Chairman Jordan was on to something. Maybe it's politics.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Mr. Shirley, now I guess investigative journalists are known as right-wing social media influencers. So
no, this one is a right-wing social media influencer. He's not a journalist in any way. I'm not a journalist. I'm a political commentator. There is a difference. Do these people not know the difference between journalist and political commentator? This is absurd to me, dude, honestly.
Can you confirm how many daycare centers you personally visited in Minnesota during your investigation?
During that
quote-unquote investigation, he says.
That first video, we went to around 7.
How did you select those facilities? I know you said earlier footprints in the snow, but how was it that you identified those facilities to go to initially?
So the man David in the video, he had the daycares with the CCAP funding, and we just simply drove around Minnesota.
Oh, I thought that, I thought that David was sitting here at the thing. I thought that was Mr. Dexter. Never mind.
And around Minneapolis area.
Took a lot of courage to do that, I would imagine.
It did? Courage? What courage would it take to drive around the city? I don't understand.
Probably more so now than what it was when you initially did it. 100 million views, you said.
Yes, over 140 million views on X alone.
So what was Mr. David's background? How did you connect with him, and how did he call you, or did you reach out?
He simply is just a man in Minnesota who has a passion for his city, and he's been seeing fraud taking place for years. And out of all the thousands of messages I get on Instagram and other platforms, I just happened to read his, and he provided me the information, so I gave him a phone call.
And then from there, just went to those different facilities. What was probably the most interesting thing as you were doing this? I think I saw the video. We watched it, and it looked like there was a number of facilities like in the same building.
Yes.
Yes, it's a medical plaza. It's called a medical plaza. Have you never heard of a medical plaza before? Are you shitting me right now?
So in one building, there was, I believe, 3 daycares, and there was no children. And they were all receiving CCAP funding.
That's a lie. There were children there.
For separate daycares. There's one daycare we went to that one day it was closed by the government, and then that same day it was reopened underneath another name. And they both received CCAP funding.
I bet, Ms. Larson, they probably...
So you're saying they were different companies, but they were sharing like residences or whatever? I mean, that happens. Jehovah's Witnesses Jehovah's Witnesses do this with their kingdom halls all the time. One congregation will, hold their meetings on Sunday morning, and the next one will hold it on Sunday evening. That's just how this works.
Probably weren't getting audited nearly like you were.
I would guess not.
Well, again, that's probably her choice.
So how many daycares are there in Minneapolis we think are fraudulent right now? Mr. Shirley, any idea?
Also, it's speculation. I'm sorry. I want to point that out. I would guess they're sorry. I would guess they're not being audited like you are. That's speculation. Why are you even bringing this up if you don't know it? Talk about being political, about political theater. My God, dude. That's all this is.
How many daycares are there in Minneapolis we think are fraudulent right now? Mr. Shirley, any idea?
Think. How many do we think are fraudulent? These people are so full of shit. Every word out of their mouths.
Are the amount of money total? You get any idea on that?
Well, they've frozen over $185 million, and not a single business has been able to prove that they're a legitimate business yet.
That's a lie. Again, he's lying here. Businesses showed CCTV footage of Nick Shirley standing out there with children walking inside. So he's lying. This is a lie.
185 million for sure that we know. Mr. Dexter, I got a question for you. What common patterns or warning signs usually indicate that the provider or the program may be committing fraud? As you were doing your investigations and 28 years of experience, what are some of the indicators that you see that maybe that should be a telltale sign or a red flag that there's fraud?
Oh, he said telltale.
Out there.
Well, one of the immediate signs that we saw when we would go out to first look at the location is where that was located. A lot of times they were located in commercial areas, and I'm not talking like strip malls or anything like that. I'm talking about like industrial areas where you wouldn't typically find a child care center.
Just completely fabricated. Again, like, can you show us that this was fraudulent, that there were fraudulent daycares here? Because these daycares have spoken up and they're not fraudulent. He's just lying.
We would notice that there was no play area, and if there was any play equipment, it was bare minimum. Now, there was an exception that if there was a playground area within a very short walking distance, that would count. But a lot of times we didn't see that. But the most glaring thing was that when we watched the centers, you know, we would sit and watch it for a couple of days before we even put up surveillance cameras. We would watch, and we would see little to no children present.
He's lying here. This is another lie that he's telling right now.
If anything, there would be a few kids.
As you begin to blow the whistle, the investigator became
Gentleman's time has expired.
I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the ranking member, Ms. Bentgath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When he began his second term, President Trump broke from historic norms and fired 17 inspectors general, people who serve as critical watchdogs and prevent waste, fraud, and abuse. A federal judge held that these firings were illegal, but also held that she could not reinstate these people due to their important roles. As a result, the president has been able to appoint acting inspectors general who have themselves been removed after informing Congress that Trump officials are not cooperating with investigations. Mr. Hetler-Gaudet, how do these frequent firings affect the ability of the inspector general offices to prevent and investigate fraud?
I think they fundamentally undermine it, and they also create a real chilling effect for the inspectors general who are left. The incentive to do something that could upset the powers that be suddenly becomes a bit of a risky proposition. And so between the completely undermining them and the chilling effect, you are really dampening and damaging the ability to do real oversight.
Thank you. And how does the politicization of inspector general appointments affect the morale and effectiveness of career investigative staff there within these offices?
It also has a severely negative effect on morale and efficacy within the offices.
So I believe we can and should do more to prevent fraud and improve oversight so that all of our government efforts are doing the most that they can to help the American people. When the Judiciary Committee marked up the Republicans' partisan big ugly spending bill, I offered an amendment that would dedicate half of 1% of funding to be used for oversight and fraud improvement and prevention. My Republican colleagues, they opposed the amendment. Mr. Hetler-Gaudet,
What a bad name, dude.
In your opening statement, you spoke on steps that Congress could take to ensure robust, nonpartisan oversight. The Project on Government Oversight recently published an article, 7 Ways Congress Should Sharpen Its Oversight in 2026.
Without objection.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to highlight from those recommendations?
By the way, let me just do a quick intro for this. This is a congressional hearing with Nick Shirley, that right-wing nutcase who went around to daycare centers in Minneapolis and lied and claimed that they were fake or whatever. Let's give this a listen. All right, that should work. And yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah, I just want to pause to note that Congress really is the indispensable actor when it comes to doing oversight. There's supposed to be a somewhat adversarial relationship between the branches, and Congress is supposed to be the primary adversary when it comes to the other 2 branches and conducting oversight, but that is predicated on Congress taking that oversight duty seriously, irrespective of who is in charge of the other 2 branches. And so I think there's a political will issue there with oversight, but also there are some mechanical issues. So Congress could do a better job of holding hearings that are a bit more bipartisan, a bit more focused on the facts, as opposed to the sizzle of a given anecdote or scandal. I mean, really trying to get at root causes and really trying to take hard, deep looks at the underlying structural reasons why things like
Hard Deep. That's my old high school nickname.
fraud happen. It's not as sexy. It's not going to get you as many views on social media, but it's going to actually ideally lead to long-term, sustainable, durable reforms that can really crack down on the problem.
Thank you. And so the short-lived Doge office was supposed to cut fraud. Mr. Hetler-Gaudet, what did it actually do, and how did its actions actually affect everyday Americans?
So Doge was a complete failure. Even on its own terms, the primary progenitor of Doge claimed that he was going to find $2 trillion. Then he moved that down to $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse cut spending. But in 2025, we actually spent more money than we spent in 2024. At the opening of this fiscal year in October, we ran the largest opening month budget deficit ever run before at $285 billion. We have hollowed out the key functions of a bunch of agencies. Any claim that DOGE was effective either on cutting spending or promoting effectiveness or efficiency are just flat out undermined and undercut by the facts.
And Mr. Hetler-Gaudet, because you have done investigations yourself, did you do any follow-up on Mr. Shirley's video?
So personally, I took a look at some of what had been done to try and backstop what Mr. Shirley indicated in his video by professional journalists at CBS and by professional oversight practitioners like the Inspector General in Minnesota. And as it turns out, they had a difficult time substantiating what Mr. Shirley was claiming to be true in his video. And in fact, they found countervailing evidence, including having been provided security footage by one of those daycares of children being dropped off the very day that Mr. Shirley was supposedly there. So
there you go. So a lie. He lied. The whole thing was a big fat fucking lie. All of it. And these poor dumb fools just sat here and lied about it for... Wait, how far in are we? An hour and 15 minutes. They just lied for an hour and 15 minutes straight to Congress. And they just ate it all up.
I think in my view, I would have to, I think I'd err on the side of believing the professional journalist at CBS and the professional oversight practitioners at the Inspector General office.
Thank you. I'm out of time. I yield.
Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so on that note, I think it's important that we return to a discussion of how these investigations were conducted and the type of evidence that led to the discovery of this massive fraud. One thing that is clear based on the testimony today is that this is not just a Minnesota problem. This is a warning sign for every state that it is administering large-scale programs using taxpayer dollars. And we need to get to the bottom of how to identify this type of fraud.
Again, there was no fraud. It was all a lie, a fictitious lie, the whole thing.
And prevent it from continuing to occur. So, Mr. Dexter, I'd like to go back to your testimony, both what you have shared with us already about your extensive background investigating and analyzing program fraud, and the methods that you used to identify the theft of taxpayer dollars in this particular type of case. In your
is Mr. Dexter that David dude from the video? I can't tell.
written testimony, you mentioned that case selection and investigations were begun in part by looking at funding data. And I am interested in how your office would use things like funding data, use statistics, and other information and evidence to begin to develop these cases.
Well, it wasn't hard to find the funding amounts. We looked at the centers that received CCAP funds, and then we listed them out. We had what was originally referred to as the top 100 list, and it was based off of centers receiving the most CCAP funding, and that was generated through the billing process and the people that administer the funds.
And when you looked at that list, did it turn out that there were certain facilities that were outliers in some way, either because they were receiving a larger amount of funding based on student population than appeared typical, or because of where they were located? Tell us how you identified which facilities warranted further review.
Well, when we started looking at the centers that were receiving the most funds, the investigators were each assigned cases, were assigned centers, and we first started looking into what the billing pattern was, or what the billing amount was, how many children were being billed at these centers, and we would have centers that were billing for 120 plus children, and looking at the different days and times, kind of establishing a pattern that just was outside the realm of a typical daycare center.
So in other words, you used objective data and evidence as the foundation to proceed further with.
No, he didn't. He had a big-ass list of Somali-run daycares and then decided to show up and attack them. Just show up and lie about them. Again, they proved that they did have children coming in and out of these daycare centers. So this is all a lie, all of it.
Your investigations.
Yes, in order to start the investigation, that's what we would begin with.
And in your experience, wouldn't you also say that that is the typical method or atypical method for beginning and analyzing a potential fraud case of any nature in any community?
Yes, because in order to do the investigation, you first have to find out if it warrants an investigation and to what extent that investigation would be.
And now, isn't it also correct, you mentioned in your testimony systemic weaknesses that allowed the large-scale fraud, even after you had developed substantial evidence that there was in fact fraud occurring, that there were institutional and systemic barriers that prevented you from successfully moving these cases through prosecution. And indeed, in your testimony, you note that in 2019, you chose to retire because the process had become so constrained that meaningful work was no longer possible. Tell us.
Oh, please. Yeah. So it's so difficult to detect fraud nowadays that he can't do his job anymore. Maybe there just isn't all this fraud that you seem to think there is. You ever knock that one around? Maybe that's the possibility here. These people are fucking shameless liars, dude.
About the barriers and ultimately that profound frustration that led you to retire.
Well, when we were originally hired, when this unit was originally created and we were hired with the understanding that our job was going to be to investigate fraud and stop it. And as we proceeded through with that, it wasn't by our doing that it turned out that the centers we investigated were predominantly Somali. But once that was kind of brought out to light, the roadblocks that were put in front of us, being called racist, being called...
Who called you racist? Who said you're racist? Was there some specific individual that called you racist? I'll take anything. The whole thing is fabricated. All of it.
Before these boards to be investigated. And basically, it wound up turning us into auditors. We wound up just simply reviewing attendance records and matching them up with billing. There really wasn't a lot of substantial investigation anymore, and most of our cases wound up going before administrative hearings rather than criminal.
Which in the end allowed this pattern of conduct to continue to occur, did it not?
Yes.
Oh no, you have to do actual investigative work instead of just locking people up with absolutely no reason whatsoever, no explanation. The gall of somebody to demand that you actually do investigative work.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields. Chair recognizes now the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Knott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To my colleague from Florida, thank you for that line of questioning. I'm going to pick up where she left off. In regards to the testimony that we've heard today, the other side of the aisle makes us believe, or wants us to believe, that the fraud has been effectively stopped.
No. The other side of the aisle wants people to know that it was fake all along. There's nothing real about it here.
Aggressively pursued it, they prosecuted it, and that it is under control. Is that your interpretation of where we are, Mr. Dexter?
I believe the fraud is still going on. I don't think anything has changed from what I've seen with Mr. Shirley's videos. I'm seeing in his videos the exact same things that we were seeing back from 2014 to 2019 when I worked there.
And it's astounding to me when I was looking at some of the footage, the evidence. There was almost a sense of, we are owed this money that we're stealing. How dare—
Wait, who the fuck said that? Where did you get that? We are owed this money? You think that Somalis are telling you that they're owed this money or whatever? Who told you that? You got a mouse in your pocket? There you go. I got it. I fit it in.
Dare you investigate us? Did you ever encounter that type of attitude when you were performing these investigations?
Bro, I have no idea what he's even talking about right now. Quietly lurking, but want to say thanks. Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate that. And thank you for the super chat. It means a lot.
There was an underlying attitude like that, that we were taking away their money and that it wasn't fair.
Well, I mean, I think the attitude is that you were harassing people relentlessly for absolutely no fucking reason. That makes sense.
To them.
In your investigation, sir, was the fraud as obvious as it seems to me that it appeared in the videos and the other evidence that I've reviewed?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we would go out to do our investigations, one of the things that we would have to do, or I would have to do, is we would scout out a location for our surveillance cameras that allowed us direct line of sight to the centers, all their accesses. A lot of that, because of the location where we were in these industrial, commercial areas, meant we had to go to businesses and ask them permission. And the number one comment they made was, oh, you mean that daycare center over there where there's no children? So everyone else around it saw.
Yeah, I bet. Totally. That checks out.
In regards to your investigations—
Well, why didn't you get that on camera then? Why didn't you record that? Is there anybody who can validate what you just claimed, or are you just pulling that right out of your ass?
Sir, I'm assuming that you did not just investigate daycare fraud. What other types of fraud did you investigate?
No, our function was strictly child care fraud, but some of that overlapped into, even though we didn't investigate it, a lot of it was also tied into the medical transportation. And
did you ever investigate single entities that were appearing as though they were committing fraud in multiple avenues?
I'm sorry, can you say
So it was like, was there one facility that was a daycare? It was also associated with the medical transport?
You mean, is he asking if there was a medical plaza that he entered into? Yes, there were medical plazas, obviously. Medical plazas exist.
Were there people who were double dipping in the fraud in your investigations?
Not that we saw as far as different organizations, but there were where one daycare center owner owned multiple daycare centers. So what we saw was more within the daycare center.
Yeah. Ms. Larson, thank you for being here. I echo my colleague's sentiment from Alabama. Your son is very impressive. What's his name?
His name is Caden.
Caden, thank you for being here today. You look sharp. You're doing great.
Is he What? I don't understand. He looks like an adult. Does he have autism, like low functioning autism or something? Is that what it is?
I just talked to you about these various audits that you were subjected to. How rigorous were they?
Very.
Again, audits, if they're doing audits every year, it means they're probably voluntary. As a board member of the SSA, they audit us every year. We pay to be audited every year. It's like, it's in the tens of thousands, we'll put it that way. You have to pay a lot of money to be audited every year. And some people do that because they think it's the right thing, and that's why the SSA does it. So it's not like she's being singled out or something, and the Somali communities are uniquely not being subjected to audits. Like, that's just nonsense.
They'd be there for hours, come in and say, I want to...
Oh, did she say he's nonverbal? Okay, there you go. Well, that's nice then.
Rigorous were they?
Very. They'd be there for hours, come in and say, I want to see these files for these kids at this date and this time.
Was there any way that you could have tricked them, concealed it? If you had not had any children there, would it have been possible?
Absolutely not.
In regards to the services that you've rendered, first, thank you.
Thank you.
And then in terms of the budgets that...
No, thank you, not thank you. Thank you.
In regards to the services that you've rendered, first, thank you.
Thank you.
And then in terms of the budgets that you require, how does it make you feel when you hear firsthand accounts that hundreds of millions of dollars have been taken out of the country?
But that's a lie. That's not true. That didn't happen. That was proven unequivocally to be false when they showed up to these daycares, and those daycares turned over footage of Nick Shirley standing there while children walked by or walked into the facility. It's made up. It was all made up all along. It was all a lie.
In suitcases to hostile nations.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. What?
Have been taken out of the country in suitcases to hostile nations.
What? Where the fuck did that come from? You now are claiming that the Somali daycare facilities were taking money from the Minnesota, or from the Minnesota government, and taking it in suitcases out of the country? Where did he pull that from, if not his ass? That is completely made up, right? Wait a minute. Somali... We're shipping it out of the country. No need to wonder. Just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. Let's see. Hang on. Okay. No, this is a lie. This whole thing is a fucking lie. Back in 2015, there was a real case where there was an organization led by a white woman who was committing fraud and stole, I think, 300 and wait. A bunch of money. 384 million, maybe 350 million, somewhere in there. Stole that from the Minnesota government. Okay, led by a white woman, largely was made up of Somali people who were participating in the scam. And they were caught, charged, and sentenced for their role in this scam. And they were moving large amounts of money through different airports in suitcases. That's where it came from. But that's old news. That was resolved like forever ago. We're not talking about that. We're talking about daycare centers today that there is no proof committed fraud. Regarding the other situation from before that was already charged, prosecuted, and sentenced, large amounts of cash do leave MSP a Minnesota airport, I think, in suitcases. That's real and well documented going back years. In 2015, investigators documented 14 million in carry-on cash. By 2016, it was 84 million, and the following year, 100 million. More recently, TSA data showed roughly 342 million flagged in 2024. Wait, is this illegal or? This isn't some secret criminal operation. The cash is legally declared on customs forms, and the system has never been a secret. The reason we know the amounts is precisely because the couriers fill out the required paperwork. Oh, this isn't even Somalis. This is just people who move large amounts of money around the country. The reason cash has to physically travel in suitcases is because of policy failure, not a criminal conspiracy. Before 2010, Hawala money transfer companies simply used mainstream banks like Wells Fargo and U.S. Bank to wire money. But after 2 Somali American women were convicted of sending $8,600 to Al-Shabaab through a Hawala system, almost all U.S. banks cut off these services entirely. Somalia has little banking infrastructure, and when the U.S. government forbade banks from sending money to informal banking systems there, it left Somali Americans with no way to send money to desperate relatives except by sending cash. Okay, cool. So there you go. There's the explanation. I'm not sure what that has to do with the daycares, but all right.
I can't even respond the way I feel about that, but I will say it's still happening. To the questioning, I mean, there's only 2 autism centers that have actually been shut down of all of these that are going on. So
that kid is he's dressed up really well, actually. I got to give it to him. He looks really nice in that suit, for real.
What they're doing is this prepayment review and putting us through this AI system at Optum to look for suspicious claims, which is why our funds are being held. And it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's not going to work. I mean, they just need to do what...
Well, it seems like it's working.
Nick did. Go and see that there's no kids there. Go and check it out.
But there were kids there. Did they miss that? They said that earlier.
And what Mr. Dexter did. Data-driven review.
Yeah.
Without any preconceptions, without any prejudices, and then holding the fraudsters to account. And when he did that, he was called a racist.
Well, that's because he didn't catch anybody doing anything. And he continued to claim that he did, so... And who the fuck called him a racist, by the way, again? Is there like a racist little mouse in his pocket that's running around yelling racist to everybody? I don't understand. If you don't want to be called racist, then don't do racist shit. But who the fuck is calling him a racist anyway? I didn't hear anybody call him a racist.
Yeah.
It's astounding. It is astounding. And you said that you help many patients, diverse patients.
Yeah.
How have those patients been harmed by this administration in Minnesota, the Walz administration?
They are all being harmed if I shut down next week.
Is that what you're up against?
Well, if I haven't gotten paid now, the last date of service was December 5th. I'm over $400,000 in debt. My payroll is $250,000 every 2 weeks.
God damn, that's a lot. Shit.
And we get paid every 2 weeks. So on Sunday night, I'll know if I get any money.
Okay, she should have managed her money better, honestly. As a large company with a payroll of $250,000, she should have at least a few months of payroll built up for possibilities like this, right?
I haven't been paid a dime. All my claims have been held. So I'm preparing to, and apparently in Minnesota too, I can't just pause services. If I pause my services, then the DHS can say, I'm sorry, you've lost your license to serve the kids through this program. So I don't know what they think we're supposed to do.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the government fucking sucks. We all know that. It's thanks to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing all of this right now. Is she aware of that?
Well, again, thank you for being here. I appreciate all the testimony. Sorry I didn't get to everybody else. There's a lot of questions. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you.
Gentleman yields. I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Kiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Shirley, thank you for your testimony today and the work that you've done. Americans hear these numbers of the fraud that we have, and whether it's 10,000 or 10 million or 10 billion, sometimes the numbers, you almost become desensitized to it. And so the way that your video was able to show people the fraud sort of in real life actually happening.
But it didn't. It didn't happen in his video. He fabricated that shit. He cut out the video footage of children walking around. Like, seriously, how do you get away with shit like this? Such a flagrant fucking lie.
I think opened a lot of eyes and has helped to catalyze a level of scrutiny that we really should have had before. So you mentioned in your testimony that you think that what you discovered in Minnesota, that this is not isolated to that state, but likely exists in other parts of the country as well, correct?
Correct.
What makes you think that?
Well, now you're seeing, since I've posted that video, lots of other people have started to go to other locations, for instance, in Ohio or in Maine or in California. They're also seeing the similar fraud take place in other daycares, for instance, in a lot of other locations.
Yeah, I have a particular interest in California, being from that state, and we know that there's been a lot of fraud. There was $32.6 billion that's been confirmed in unemployment insurance fraud. There's 1.2 million.
I'm sorry, I don't believe you. Let's see. 36.2 billion? Mr. Kiley. You know what bothers me the most about this is the fact that they're focusing on like small fraud of people who otherwise don't have anything. Unemployment fraud? Do you tell me this person drew unemployment for longer than they should have, or they got a higher amount than they should have or something? Why aren't you going after the fraud committed by actual billionaires and companies, the tax breaks that they get as a result of lies that they tell or whatever? Why aren't you going after those people? I don't understand why they're focused on smaller amounts of people. And here's another one. You know what happened the other day? My kid works at McDonald's, clocked out at 9:02 because there was a rush, was trying to, help like get everything together or whatever before leaving. And she clocked out at 9:02, and her manager adjusted her time to 9 o'clock because that's when she was supposed to clock out. That's wage theft, and it's illegal. All those little minutes that they adjust people's time by add up. That time was erased, lost. She did that for nothing. You're selling your labor. You're selling the minutes in your life. How many minutes do any of us have in life? And we have 80 years at best. I think average life expectancy is 78, right? That was before COVID. How many minutes of our lives do we have? And how many of those minutes are spent like with family? How many of those minutes are spent doing a hobby, live streaming, playing a video game, working? She gave them 2 minutes expecting to be compensated for it. And they fucked her. They took it. They stole money from her. Do you know how much money is stolen from employees that way every year? There's an answer to it. Hang on. She stayed over extra. I mean, it's only 2 minutes, so who cares, right? But they do that to so many employees over the course of a year that they steal, see if I can get a number, $8 billion annually. $8 billion are stolen by companies from employees every year. It's illegal. It's illegal. Absolutely. That's fraud. That is defrauding people. 100%. Why aren't they investigating that? Why don't they, now that they've discovered that this is a lie, that these people are not defrauding the children or anybody else or the government or whatever, Now that we've discovered that, why don't they investigate that fraud? Because they don't give a fuck. Cruelty is the point. That's why.
Fraudulent community college applications. Have you gotten any sense, or have you seen any signs there that sort of are similar to what aroused your suspicions in Minnesota?
Yeah, and fraud in California might be worse than the fraud in Minnesota.
What makes you say
Might. He has no fucking idea.
that?
Well, $24 billion went missing for homelessness.
It didn't go missing. It just didn't improve the homeless problem to a satisfactory degree. It wasn't missing. We know exactly where all of that money went and what it was used for. We can go back and look at that. He's just lying.
We've been trying to build this train for years, yet there's hardly anything to prove for that. Fires.
Yeah, those are good points. So you look at let's run through a couple of those. Because I mentioned the areas where we have confirmed fraud, but then you also have these areas where you have so much spending, and then we look at what results from that spending, and there's nothing.
Yes, but you can audit that spending. It's like a government spending that you can go through. You can just look at and see where all that money went.
So $24 billion in homelessness, and yet the homeless population went up, and a state audit found that they couldn't even figure out where the money went or what the outcomes linked to that spending were. Is that?
I'm sorry, I doubt it. I doubt they can't figure out where that money went. I would be surprised. Again, don't you think it's interesting that they're always investigating, quote unquote, these programs that would actually help people and that did actually help people, maybe just not enough? Like even Obamacare, they're always talking shit about things that are helping people instead of investigating the things that are hurting people, like health insurance companies. Why don't you investigate the health insurance companies instead of Obamacare?
Something that is kind of a red flag for you?
Yeah, it's a major red flag, and you don't even have to be smart to be able to know that. That's
Yeah, I would be, or yeah, I can see that you don't have to be smart to believe that, obviously.
That's a red flag.
Well, unfortunately, our state legislators haven't managed to figure that out, or at least the governor hasn't. So what are you saying about him?
They're not smart. No, but yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, and that's what we saw in Minnesota is how complicit the government has been in enabling this fraud to happen. Quality Learning Center had over 90 violations, yet they continue to give that daycare $1.9 million.
Wait, what violations? You going to list them for us? You going to tell us what those violations were? Of course he's not. He's completely full of shit. Every word out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's a great point. That there's the political accountability just hasn't been there, and that's what enables it to continue. So then you mentioned the high-speed rail as well. So there has been about $18 billion spent so far. No track has been laid, and not a single passenger has ridden the train.
I mean, you know that there's like planning involved in this, right? Like people have to plan for this type of shit. You can't just start laying track. Are you aware of that? He's probably aware of that. He just likes his propaganda.
So when you spend $18 billion on a train and there's no train, does that raise suspicions for you?
Yes.
So you think that might be something worth looking at?
For sure.
We also had a $650 million 911 service that they scrapped after 6 years, so absolutely no value from it. Maybe that's another example where there might at least be questions.
I think you got a lot in California.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what you find. We're certainly trying to use whatever tools we have here to bring more accountability in California as well. Mr. Dexter, I wanted to also ask you a couple of questions about your work because
these people are scumbags.
Because you have extensive experience on the law enforcement side trying to detect fraud. That's actually how in California we discovered the EDD fraud, the unemployment fraud, is it wasn't the state suddenly figuring it out. It was district attorneys who came together and investigated and, in fact, pointed to the fact.
I just looked into the unemployment thing. 36 billion figure is real, but it's actually the low estimate. It has nothing specifically to do with Minnesota or Somali daycares. I don't even know why you brought it up. By early November 2020, at least 36 billion of the 360 billion in CARES Act unemployment benefits was lost to improper payments, mostly from fraud, according to a conservative estimate. from the Office of the Inspector General for the Department of Labor. That was an early estimate. Okay.
That the state had let this happen and failed to heed their warnings and hadn't taken basic fraud detection steps. So is this something that you encounter? Like, what kind of internal controls make it so fraud is more difficult, and what type of lack of internal controls make it so fraud is easier?
Well, I would say the biggest thing was the fact that when we tried to investigate this, once we started bringing cases forward and it showed that the number of centers that we investigated were Somali, the biggest roadblock was the fact that they didn't want to follow through on these cases. They
oh, yeah. So the state doesn't want to be viewed as racist, so they're not going to investigate Somali, right? Is that why they secured a conviction and a sentencing for that scam a while back? That, like, childhood hunger scam that was running or whatever? These people use race constantly as a scapegoat. It's absurd. Oh my God, dude. They're insufferable.
Cut down investigations. They made us, in light of the report from this outside management firm, we spent nearly a year pulled away from our investigations because one of the things they determined was that when our unit started, we didn't have a proper case management system for recording and keeping track of the tips. So as investigators, we instead had to spend nearly a year entering past complaints made to DHS into a newly created database. We couldn't do our investigations because of that. So,
well, I would hope that you're complying with government expectations and restrictions or whatever. Is that what he's complaining about? That the government has restrictions and expectations for people investigating other people, or what?
They kept us from doing our work, basically.
Yeah. So the states that make fraud detection a priority have less fraud than those that actively contravene efforts like yours. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Thank you. Gentleman's time has expired. I recognize the ranking member, Ms. McBeth, for some uses.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article, Republicans' claims of fraud are a pretext for unpopular and drastic Medicaid cuts.
Oh, yeah, not just Medicaid cuts. They're a pretext for all kinds of unpopular things. For pure, unadulterated hate that they are trying to push on other people.
Objection?
Thank you.
And so
Mr. Chairman, I have some.
You have a UC? Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, forgive me, I have a handful of them here, Mr. Chairman. One is a letter dated October 21, 2025, from Representative Benny Thompson to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. regarding the decision to rescind the $101 million penalty imposed on Mississippi. Press release dated September 17, 2025, titled Governor Walz issues executive order directing state agencies to take additional steps to combat fraud. Executive Order 2501, titled Preventing Fraud and Establishing the Financial Crimes and Fraud section of the Department of Public Safety, signed by Governor Tim Walz, January 3rd, 2025. Article dated December 2nd, 2025, titled Trump calls Somali immigrants garbage as U.S. reportedly targets Minnesota community.
That sounds pretty racist. Again, I don't know who is calling them racist, but there is a lot of racism happening right now. Like, these people are specifically targeting, these daycares or whatever based on the race, quote unquote, of the people involved. And it's vile, honestly. Like, they're bitching about being called racist, but the shit they're doing is pretty racist.
Article dated January 9, 2026, titled 5 States Sue Administration for Withholding Billions in Social Safety Net Funds. Article dated January 10, 2026, titled Behind the Somali Daycare Panic is a Mother and Son Duo Angling to Become Top MAGA Influencers. Article dated December 31, 2025, titled Right-Wing YouTuber Behind Viral Minnesota Fraud Video Has Long Anti-Immigrant History. Article dated January 11, 2026, titled Fact Check, What's Really Happening with Childcare Fraud in Minnesota. And finally, article dated January 13, 2026, titled The Trump Administration Says It's Cracking Down on Fraud, but it gave a red state a pass. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, especially like Texas. Why aren't they investigating Texas? Why aren't they sending ICE into Texas? Because cruelty is the point. That's the bottom line. They want to hurt their political enemies, period.
Without objection, Chair recognizes Ms. McBath again for the UC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record an article titled Trump's Child Care Fund Freezing in 5 states could cost families $400 million by Julia Cation of the Century Foundation.
Without objection, I recognize myself for a series of UCs. From Fox News, Biden clemency for convicted fraudsters met with outrage, slap in face. From CNN, victims shocked after Biden grants clemency to Kids for Cash judge and $54 million embezzler. And
again, like he's saying that Biden pardoned people that he shouldn't have. Donald Trump, the point that this started with is that Donald Trump is is selling pardons, that he's selling pardons to people who don't deserve it. Just people who had enough money to buy their way out of prison. Biden didn't sell pardons. You could argue, I don't even know if it's fair to, but you could argue that the pardons that Biden gave were not good, that he shouldn't have. I don't know. I would have to look at each pardon and think about it. But he didn't sell them. That is like a step beyond what Trump is doing right now. Just checking. Alpha Force Zero didn't get off the bus, so apparently went with some friends.
from Axios, Biden sets presidential record on pardons and clemency. Also, Minnesota daycare expose, journalist strikes again, and part 2 names the hub of the fraud wheel. 78th defendant charged in feeding our future fraud scheme from...
Right, the feeding our future thing, that was a fraud scheme, an actual fraud scheme. Like, what's all this other shit that they're bitching about?
U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Minnesota. Suitcases filled with millions in cash flew out of MSP airport. Ex-TSA agent connects dots years later from Survival World. From the U.S. Department of Health.
Again, that, like, flying money around is not illegal, nor is it a surprise. Like, everybody knew that you know, that's just how people move money around sometimes.
And Human Services, HHS freezes child care and family assistance grants in 5 states for fraud concerns. From the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Minnesota, 6 additional defendants charged. 1 defendant pleads guilty in ongoing fraud schemes. This is from the local Fox News in Minneapolis. Through the years, a decade of investigating fraud, Minnesota. U.S. Department of Homeland Security release. ICE continues arresting worst of the worst in sanctuary Minneapolis, including pedophiles, gang members, and drug traffickers. From MSN, TSA flags suspicious cash outflow at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. From MSN, foreign ATM, Somali cash exodus from Minneapolis exponentially larger than other major U.S. airports.
Yeah, because they have a large, like, population in Minneapolis, obviously. Like, these people lie for a fucking living, dude. This drives me insane how brazen the lies are from these people.
From Breitbart, SBA cutting off grants to Minnesota.
Why are you using Breitbart as a source right now? Seriously? What a wild fucking thing to do.
Than other major U.S. airports. From Breitbart, SBA cutting off grants to Minnesota over reports of Somali fraud. Vance praises YouTuber Nick Shirley reporting on Minnesota fraud. Waltz and Omar using ICE operations to distract from fraud scandal.
Give it a rest.
And from Just the News, in Somali fraud scandal, Republicans probe evidence of a blue state election scheme. From the New York Post, ringleader of $250 million Minnesota welfare fraud scandal ordered by judge to forfeit Porsche and luxury goods. From LifeZet.com, TSA whistleblower, Somalis regularly flew out with suitcases stuffed with millions in cash. From Fox News, Minnesota welfare fraud probe targets Somali Hawala money transfers.
Again, I talked about that earlier, but there's no secret here. There's no, like, scam or whatever.
From the Star News Network, feds probe hundreds of millions in suspected Somali cash and luggage leaving Minneapolis airport.
Okay, I think that this is about the end, and that he's just going to be submitting papers this whole time.
I also have to bring some additional information out just because it's in my nature. I got to do it. So, Mr. Hetler-Godet, you've been talking about the IGs because you were asked about the IGs. Do you know how many cases, for instance, criminal cases, are being investigated, say, by the Department of Homeland Security IG right now?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, no.
Would it surprise you if there were 650 ongoing cases, with 200 of those being COVID-related?
That would not surprise me, no.
And do you know how many audits they have going right now?
Nope.
They have 60 audits going right now, with another 20 investigations going. That sounds to me like the IG there, at least in DHS, is not being chilled because of the appointment of temporary IGs. Am I wrong on that, or am I misconstruing that?
One thing about the DHS IG, Mr. Joseph Kafari, is he was actually appointed under the first Trump administration, and he has remained ever since. We actually at the Project on Government Oversight have long recommended that Mr. Kafari be fired because he has had a long and demonstrated track record of slow-walking investigations at DHS, particularly when it comes to abuse of force and other issues with DHS agents.
And yet the Oversight Committee for the IGs didn't adhere to that recommendation. So anyway, the point, I felt that point needed to be made. Additionally...
wow, what a scumbag point. Like, does he realize that corruption exists? Is he aware of that? I mean, this whole thing is about fraud. Did he not think that it could touch anywhere else in the government?
Mr. Dexter, you looked at some of the same kind of physical evidence that Mr. Shirley looked at with regard to physical presence at the various daycare facilities that you were examining between 2014 and 2019. Is that true?
Yes.
And you saw basically the same kind of physical evidence that Mr. Shirley exposed?
That's correct.
You also looked at funding data, and you also had whistleblowers?
Yes.
And I find it interesting that somehow local news, which reported on the fraud, other local news reporters who reported on the fraud credibly agree with the findings of Mr. Shirley. Is that what you...
No, that's not true. The findings do not agree with him. He lied through the whole fucking thing.
Have seen as well, Mr. Dexter?
Yes. Fox 9 News in Minneapolis, they followed a lot of our cases and did stories on them.
And so I mean, the very notion of trying to discredit Mr. Shirley because he got a lot of views.
Wait, nobody tried to discredit him because he got a lot of views. Who the fuck did that? What are you talking about?
Or that some CBS reporter disagreed and said they couldn't find the evidence. Actually...
No, that one is important. If actual real reporters investigated and said, this is a lie, and we know that because we have CCTV footage of Nick Shirley walking around outside the daycares, and there were children outside when he was there, and he's claiming that there weren't. That's not like just some random reporter disagreeing or whatever. That is evidence that he lied, obviously.
In my mind, discredits the CBS reporter. That's because, I mean, I appreciate the ranking member having cited the Arizona fraud, which I also constantly cite. It's a massive fraud in Arizona. Not just the $2.5 billion, but there's another additional allegation of about $7 billion per year fraud in Arizona.
Wait, what's he even talking about? I don't know what he's referring to here. What fraud is he saying exists in where?
Arizona.
In Arizona?
I think there needs to be a change there. I think we need to get a handle on this, not just in Minnesota, but nationwide. Because what we've seen in Ms. Larson's case, those who are conducting themselves according to the law, delivering services, are the ones that also get punished. But if you're a fraudster, somehow you're able to keep on going. And the fraud hasn't stopped. Mr. Shirley, have you seen any evidence? You said twice today that $185 million of recipients, not one of them has been able to demonstrate that they are a legitimate business.
That's a lie. He's lying. This is not true. They did prove that they're legitimate businesses.
No, in fact, they're actually actively suing the HHS to prevent handing over any information.
Right, so they don't even want to give the information that would be...
Again, this is all a lie. This is a fictitious, fabricated, fucking made-up lie.
...required of an audit. That would be required from a separate, independent investigation. They want a court to intervene and enjoin and prevent them from having to respond to this kind of investigation. Is that correct, Mr. Shirley?
That is correct.
So, I mean, this is the thing, and I think... I've listened to the panelists. I think everybody on the panel, I think everybody up here, we all want to stop the fraud. But the bottom line is, it's so infused with politicization that it is preventing us from just sitting down there and saying, okay, we got a symptom in Minnesota and we're going to fix it.
Listen to these fucking people talking about how it's politicized. Such a joke, dude. Disgusting.
I think the symptoms being exposed is critical because then it actually motivates people to try to get to the root cause. I'm out of time, and we have no other members here, so I just want to thank each one of you, from Mr. Dexter, Mr. Hedler-Gaudet, Mr. Shirley, and Ms. Larson, for being here and giving us your testimony. I really, really appreciate it, and I would encourage my colleagues to be better stewards and have better oversight, because
these people are scumbags. Disgusting. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. This is just vile shit. All right, well, it's about that time. I get out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun, and I will see you guys on the flippity flip tomorrow. All right?